The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
It doesn't work. It's not working. No! Fuck. So now I gotta play the damn outro now. We're live here on the Earnestly podcast, dated on my damn birthday, May 1st, 1980. It was 1980, like my birthday, my actual 2024, dude. What's wrong with me today? I'm tired as hell. I'm not drunk. I'm tired as hell. I'm not as drunk as Rudy anyway. Rudy, what's up, buddy? Rudy and Cory, father-son duo, good friends of the podcast. Cory's second time on the show. Rudy's first time on the show. We've been planning this for a long time, actually. We're finally going to do it. Fellas, father-son duo.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, buddy.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Shout out to the G.
I start the day with happy birthday. I end the day with happy birthday.
That's right. You text me this morning on the way to work. Happy birthday, number one. And then, like, are we doing this tonight? I go, yeah, we're doing this today. Was it a joke? You know, yeah, I literally planned this way. So, yes, of course.
Major shout out, baby. Happy birthday.
Yes. Yeah, man. So, how's your day today?
Not a lot, man. Enjoying my day off, getting a couple more things done before our big trip next week.
Where you guys going again? You guys to Jamaica now? No,
we're going across the pond, brother. We're headed out to Europe, man. Big dog shit.
Ooh.
Yeah. Europe next
Where
week.
in Europe exactly?
So we're doing the gangster shit, man. We're starting out. We're meeting in Barcelona. I land about 10 minutes before he does next Thursday or next Friday. We port out of Barcelona on a cruise, and then in order, it's Italy, Montenegro, Croatia, Greece, and Italy in a row. 8 days.
Whose idea was this?
Well, I mean, I got to give a little bit of the credit, Pop. Come on, man, a little tiny bit of the credit, right?
Of course.
All right, yeah, because we were lounging around one day because this was a couple weeks before our Jamaica trip for my boy's wedding. Shout out Jake. I was like, hey man, you know what? I was like, what do you think about doing like a Europe trip like early next year type shit? And he was like, yeah, we should definitely look into that. Yeah, I'm down. And then like, I got to give all the credit back to him because like later that day he was like, hey man, let's just take a look. Let's just take a look at trips and like cruises and stuff like that just for shits and giggles. He's like, I got a credit I could use on Royal Caribbean. A few hours later, we have everything booked. So. Yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
See, you have any kids? Well, the kid, I mean, you know, that's your kid, but your kid's an adult now. My kid is still barely a preteen. Well, my first kid is. My other one is like barely getting out of first grade now. God, Rudy, I want to be where you're at now. I'm ready to pass the next 10 years and be where you're at now. Honestly.
Hey man, let me tell you something. It's a lot. It's a huge investment early on that's paid off like in ways that I could never truly give credit to, but that's having my best friend on this podcast right now is always a joy, and how he said it is exactly how it worked out, man. We threw it down. We're like, let's do it, and that's how we roll, man. I mean, that's how some of our trips have like really ended up. Our best trips have been conversations like that. Our best, some of our best, yeah, like legit. Like we had a couple years ago. You and I talked about it, but Cory, it's been what, year and a half? We did
October 22. We I don't want to know. Go ahead.
We wrapped up a baseball season where we started in Chicago. We connected in Boston, and then we finished up in New York. So, some of our best trips have been that way.
Yeah, and you guys always do like, if it's not trips to like for vacation, you do like a lot of trips when it pertain to Giants football games, wherever it's in Giant Stadium or MetLife Stadium rather, or on the road anywhere else. You guys are just, I was going to close the show with that discussion. We can talk about now. I've always told you guys, I always told you, Rudy, that because I've known you now, what, 10, 15 years now?
That's crazy, bro.
Crazy.
About how long have you played poker to track now?
Over, we've known each other at least over a decade.
Right.
I mean, we've known of each other for a while, but you and I really kind of started getting close probably in the last 5 to 8 years, I would say. We got really close, but we've known each other over 10 years, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I always told you, like I always love the dynamic that you and Cory have, like the father-son dynamic. Like, not a lot of friends that have, kids, and yeah, obviously it's good, but I always felt like this one was always different with you two. And you see that here, and you guys, like, as you said, best friends and stuff. And it's really cool. I've always told you guys, like, I really hope that I have that kind of, I mean, I get all the way, but if I can have something like almost similar to what you have with my kids, I mean, I'd be winning at life. That's awesome, to be honest with you.
Appreciate that.
No, and I appreciate that, man. And Cory and I were kind of going back and forth today. We have hopefully somebody that's going to jump on this podcast at some point. Somebody that him and I both really care about a lot. We watched growing up, and it's one of Cory's closest friends that he's grown up with, and he just had a baby. And it gives you perspective.
Tyler.
And shout out Tyler.
Yeah.
And his baby's in a Jets uni.
Well, we'll work on
Jets,
that later.
like little onesie.
I mean, the Jets are not. Okay. I don't hate the Jets. Let's be real. I'm not a Jets hater. They're just the Jets. You know, how you hate the Jets? Unless you're a Dolphins fan.
Shout out Chino. Shout out Chino.
Shout out Chino. That's right. I know Chino.
Yes, sir.
Not the nasty on that one, but man. I mean, it's when you say that about I obviously you're a family guy, and I've always respected that about you. You've always been proud of that, and
yes.
I mean, man, it's you saying that is literally it's a straight arrow into getting there, because when you have that desire, I mean, my desire always from the time that Cory was the first time I met him, right? 25 years ago, almost 26, which is insane.
Cory getting old.
That was always a thing. It was always he's always been my passion. And when you keep that at the forefront, like I know how you are with your family and how that's first. And we were talking about that earlier. And some of the things that they get to this podcast tonight is all family, right? Your birthday, and one of the first things you talked about wasn't your birthday; it was about how you were spending it with your family. And it's your mom's birthday. Shout out to your mom.
Yes,
by the way.
she's turned 30.
Right?
I told her this morning because like her joke like years like I'm 29 years old, and I go this morning I go finally I like I have 29th birthday, mom. She's like I'm 30. Get it right, bitch. and then give me a middle finger with it too. Also on top of that. Go ahead, Rudy. Go ahead.
No. You mean basically that's like you nailed it. When you have that desire, man. Hey, listen. Everybody has. You end up with what you do speak so loudly, right? More so than anything you say. So your actions going to speak. So when you put your family at the forefront, when you put the main thing, you keep the main thing always. When you say that about your kids,
of course,
dude, it just organically will happen, and they look up to you, and so it all works out, man. I mean, this guy is not my best friend he's not my best friend by just voicing that he's my best friend. He's my best friend because we grew up together, and that's why I think the things that we do, like next week, and the things that we've done, that's what has more impact, is because we've lived it and we've grown up together. So we just enjoy the things. That's what him and I were going back today, is we were putting a lot of things in perspective and looking at timelines. Like when you say that about the Giants games, I mean, we always reminisce, something that I did as like as a random thing, which was like, again, that's one thing that you and I relate to is the Giants thing.
Of course.
Is that
that's how we became friends with the Giants.
2007. It was a sacrifice at the time. Obviously, I'm in a different place in life, but at the time in 2007, it was a little bit of a stretch to be able to take him to like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game where we were on our Super Bowl run.
That's right. Did go that game.
As we merged into
wild card round, right?
We went into the wild card round, and that was a stretch, man. And at the time, if you compartmentalize that moment, like obviously you were there, right? Like in that time period. We weren't supposed to do shit that year. You know that. I mean, we were just a team with a young quarterback, and it was bullshit, right? And so I'm like, man, it would be fun to experience, even if we lose or expected to lose, or maybe not even make it, past Dallas that year.
Yeah.
Let's go. I sacrificed. I was young. I was a young father, single dad at the time, whatever. And we went, and man, think about that. Like we went to that 2007 game with no expectation, and we won a Super Bowl that year. Mm-hmm. And look, he nods his head. This dude was a kid, and we have that memory of that year that we were at that Tampa Bay game. And that's the kind of shit that, like, at the time, it was such a stretch. We were in the nosebleeds. It was a stretch. I did it on like just to have that moment with him, and I was just thinking playoffs. Never did I imagine that year was going to be such a magical postseason. You know what I mean? So it's like that kind of shit is what really has so much impact on him and I on all the things we do. So listen, and that's for you too, man. Like, you got little young guys.
That means you were 10 years old, Cory. That's that thing, right?
No, sir. I just turned 8 years old, man. I just turned 8 years
2008. It was 2007, 2008, January 2008. Wow.
It was January of 2000. I'm sorry, I just turned 9. Yeah, it was January 2008. I just turned 9. Yep.
Right. Jesus.
Yep. Just
God.
turned 9 years old, man. Like, obviously at that age, I'm not gonna have a very fond memory, like play-by-play type shit. But what I'll always remember is, and Pop knows about this too, is I'll always remember that tutty that Amani Toomer caught in the end zone, the same end zone we were in.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. It's just one of those things that's always embedded in the brain. So.
I was at a rest in peace Gatsby's in Village in Palm Beach Lakes. It was a Giants bar at the time, and I was there with my boy Zach, watching it drunk. I was 27, turned 28. No kids yet, not married. Although with the woman I'm with now, we were actually dating at that point. Yeah, I can take you back. I miss those days, man. I really do. God, when I still had hair.
The fact that was 17 years ago. That
17 years
doesn't
ago?
register to me, man. It's unbelievable. Like we were talking about reminiscing earlier. It's just knowing that whole run was 17 years ago just doesn't sit right. It's wild.
Right. No, right. No, but it's really cool, man. You have these benchmarks, these timestamps of like of this relationship with how things are, and looking back, it's amazing. It's really, really incredible. So we want to talk about first, guys.
We can talk about Miami hitting up Vancouver starting tomorrow if you want. We can go there. Or we can talk about the Knicks.
You're smart. You're smart ass, Cory. You know what? Because you want to talk right now. Remember? Okay, wait, hold on, Rudy. Remember the pod when he came on like 2-3 years ago? He was like all humble, like you're right. I think you're right. I think you're correct on that. Nah, this dude is he ain't the same dude from 3 years ago. That's a damn sure. I love it. I love it.
No, because I'm comfortable now with you. You're my boy. I gotta be comfortable now.
Yeah, exactly. No, look. Before we get to the Knicks.
No, but and that's
go ahead.
Well, that's credit to you, by the way. But which we want to do a little Earnest Christian plug here.
Okay.
You are obviously him and I. We do compliment you on the side. Like you are a 5-star person, man. All the time.
I appreciate
it. You do this. The fact that we're both of us, and I speak for Cory. We're both very honored to be on this. We appreciate you. You do a tremendous job. You have tremendous dotted lines to a lot of folks. So I'm extremely proud of you. And I'm saying this. I am saying this because it's your birthday. But the fact that you have this kind of dude, you are an all-star person, and we both appreciate you. I appreciate that little plug out there. Before we berate your Miami Heat and we get into all that, I do want to say that you are a 5-star, world-class person, man. We appreciate you, man. Happy birthday. You're over the top. You are over the top.
I almost wish I waited a week. So if the Knicks lose to Philadelphia this series for some reason, then I can ream your ass. But I'll take what I can at this point. No, honestly, real talk. I appreciate that. This podcast, which started out 13 years ago as a sports show, a way for me to get my thoughts on what I think about sports, has evolved in such a way now where it's connected me with a lot of people, and that's one thing I always wanted in my life, and I've always had in my life for many years, no matter the platform, is that I love connecting with people across all platforms. And I have that, and I love that. I love discussing things with people. There are people who I've done podcasts on the show with who I haven't met yet, and I've known 12, 13 years. Like there were friends of mine like this last week that I've been podcasting. I podcast on a regular basis, who I just finally met for the first time in person after 12 years.
Crazy.
My boy Kyle Nash was on the show all the time. He was on the show yesterday talking about the draft. I met him for the first time in person last week, Saturday, in Orlando.
That was the first time you met him?
In person, yes.
Wow.
And we've done hundreds of shows.
Wow.
My friend Jim, Big Jim, same thing. I'm on his show at Tuesday for a lot podcast. I've known him 10 years. Remember the first time last week also, too.
It's incredible, man.
Amazing.
So connectivity is important to me, man. It really is.
100%.
So, okay, the Heat. Go ahead. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'll kick it off. I'm gonna kick it off with the Heat, man. And we were talking about this while Cory was having some technical difficulties, man. But honestly, there's mixed emotions. I mean, it was a rough go around for you guys, and obviously I'll let you guys kind of take it from here. So I'll do the. I was saying it before we got live that I do feel like it's two pros with a cup of Joe.
Yeah.
I'm the cup of Joe, so I'll be you guys are way more analytical, and you guys understand a lot more of the intricate details of what we'll talk about. But I will say, man, I mean, to see what Spoelstra's done consistently,
yeah.
I mean, you guys were at a major disadvantage. Obviously, injuries had a huge impact. The Heat really had, a very limited chance to get beyond where they were going into, and they were the 8th seed.
Yeah.
What I will say, and I'll let Cory take it from here, is that to get to where to even get to play the Celtics with the what's it called, the tournament,
the play-in.
The play-in, right? Correct. To get there, obviously, Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, however you want to break it down, had a huge impact of him getting hurt. But I wanted to focus more on how good. I wanted to ask you guys, how good is Erik Spoelstra? I mean, what level? Where do you rank him in terms of
all time or now
where he falls versus? Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Let's be very real. How do you? I would love to hear from both of you how you rank Erik Spoelstra in terms of all time head coaches.
All right, so the listeners know who I feel like Erik Spoelstra already. So Cory, the floor is yours.
Well, my hatred for the Heat is very, very, very personal, and that's about as respectable as I'll be when it comes to that. So I'm not going to try and trash them too hard for you. But literally, what Pop just said, like, I was in total agreement with, man. It's the one green I will give the Heat forever and ever is Erik Spoelstra. Man, that guy, he literally just said everything I was going to say. The fact that they were even in that position, the fact they even got a game is ridiculous. I mean, they shot the lights out and had a crazy shooting night. But the fact they even got a game with what they were working with and what they were playing, everybody has Boston as like the overwhelming favorites. The fact that they got a game, man, he deserves Coach of the Year just based off that, in my opinion. Yeah. That's just how I see it. That's the only positive you're going to get from me about the Heat. So I'll let you finish.
No, you best coach in basketball. I've been saying for the last couple of years now. He's probably top 5-6 coach all time. I mean, I don't know where you rank him, but he's definitely in that conversation. With what he's done, his resume speaks for itself. Don't get that sold to me. I mean, I know how I feel about Erik Spoelstra in the Heat. I've been saying it since day one. This dude is different. He's built different.
Sure.
And to be fair, it helps to have a front office that supports you. It doesn't matter who's here. It could be LeBron James. LeBron James tried to get him out of the paint. Pat Riley said, "Nah, we're good."
Right? He said, "That's not happening, bro."
So I mean, we'll leave it at that. Like Boston, look. Here's the thing. Like I said, Heat in 5 on social media. Obviously, that's a joke. That's obviously a joke. If you believe, I hate Boston. I hate Boston.
We all do.
I can't give them props. I had Boston win that series really in a sweep until 5 games. Okay, so it went the way I thought it would go. But the fact that we didn't have Butler, we didn't have Rozier, and then Jaime didn't play night either. On top of that, so he didn't make the trip at all. So that was all written in the stars. Boston is supposed to be where they're at now. Boston, 100%. Anything less than at the very least a finals berth this year is a complete fail for this team. This team is better on paper than they were last year. Okay, you added Porzingis, you add Drew Holiday, who I thought was one of the most biggest moves of the offseason, because I thought that move canceled out Dame Lillard going to Milwaukee. That was my opinion at the time. So they have no choice but to conference finals. They have a cakewalk. Like, to me, their journey to the finals is much clearer than the Nuggets is, really, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. But I mean, the other thing is, though, is that once they already got to the next round, so they would get the winner of Cleveland and Orlando, and they're going to dog walk either team.
Yeah, they don't need Porzingis. They're saying today that Porzingis may miss the entire series. Honestly, they should be in their team without him.
They won't even need him. You're absolutely right.
Did you guys catch the record of? Did you catch the record for the Celtics without Porzingis? Did you see?
No, what is it?
They were what, 23-3 or something crazy like that? 24-3?
Again.
24-3 or 24-4, something like that. Yeah, it was a ridiculous stat. Yeah.
They'll need him. Not right now.
Not right now.
They'll need him at some point. They'll need Denver.
I completely forgot they had Horford, and Horford came off the bench, and now he was starting tonight. So it's literally what they had last year.
Yeah,
just
but
with Drew Holiday in the starting lineup, not smart.
If you can't beat the Magic or the Cavaliers, but even without Porzingis, something's wrong there.
Completely agree.
You know what I'm saying? Jason Tatum, again, to me is a very He's a very frustrating player because, to me, if you gave that guy Jimmy Butler's heart, he's the best player in basketball.
Be careful, EJ. This is Pop's boy right here. Be careful. Be careful how you talk about this.
Tatum? No, I think Tatum's a phenomenal player.
I love Tatum.
It's just
I hate that he's on the Celtics. I hate that. It's like a thing. I have a thing about him being. I love his demeanor. I love his approach. I love his game. I love his. He's like I wish he was on any other team with the Celtics. Any other team with the Celtics or the Heat. And I'm like an ultra. I love Tatum.
Oh, man. Dude, what I criticize Tatum is not having to do with is the fact that I know he's great. Is that there's something missing. There's no dog in him. There's something, and Cory will agree with me on this also too. There's something missing there. Like okay, you're really good. You're probably a top 5 player, but you probably could be better. You know what I mean? I feel like there's something missing there. That's all.
He doesn't go out and take it. He goes along. He doesn't go out and take it. Like you said, the other small molecular size credit I'm going to give any Miami Heat player, coach, whatever, is Jimmy Butler's heart. If you put Jimmy Butler's heart in Tatum's body, that dude, he's averaging 35 a game. I'll agree with you.
And he's the best player in basketball, in my opinion, at that point. If that is the case.
I couldn't
agree.
There's
something missing.
There's something 100% missing. I don't know if I'm taking him over Anthony Edwards, and that's also Pop's boy too. But I'm a big Anthony.
You want to go there? You want to go there real quick? Because
I'm a little concerned for my Nuggets, EJ. A little tiny bit concerned too. Just a little.
Well, I mean, they did say last year. They did say last year that the trek to the finals last year that their toughest opponent was Minnesota. They were very clear about that even before they won the title last year. They said Minnesota was the toughest opponent they had because of the size.
They got a better squad this year too. I feel like Minnesota.
Yeah, now you have Gobert healthy. Okay, and
you have an older cat.
You
have guys that are maturing, man, and it's a very dangerous team. And you have a guy. You have a guy that literally has exactly what you guys just described that's missing. You got an eye of the tiger guy. I mean, this guy he gives zero shits, and he goes 100%. He goes 100 miles an hour. This guy is an animal. I love this guy's game.
Me too.
So and Edwards is a different level.
Go ahead, Cory.
I'm so sorry, guys. I want to let you finish, but I want to ask you this too, since not talking shit or whatever, but you don't watch as much basketball as EJ and I do. When you watch Ant play, who does he look like to you? I'm asking you genuinely. I want you to answer that.
Go ahead, Rudy.
No, I said to Cory. Cory told me to pump the brakes a little bit, but he has that Mamba mentality. Man.
He does.
He just goes. He goes. He's just. It's the mic'd up thing. It's the going hard. It's the not give a shit. It's the whole give me the ball at the end. I'll do something with it. That's Mamba mentality, man. And Mamba to me, RIP is all time. He is. Sure. I will debate him. To me, it's MJ and Mamba. Those are the two guys that they lived on a different planet. They had a different Jordan gambles the way he does, which again I understand the gambling thing. Jordan gambles the way he does because he's a freak of nature competitor. And that's what Mamba, Jordan, LeBron. Hey, listen, give him his flowers, but Mamba and Jordan, they lived in a different way. And Anthony Edwards comes with mindset. That.
It's always a mindset
type of ferocity, man.
His style player, I said it before you started too. His style player reminds me of young Michael Jordan. I'm not saying he is Jordan. I'm just saying that's the way he plays. The mid range, the go to the basket. Watch 84 to 89 Jordan. It's very similar to Edwards today.
It's eerily similar.
It's talking about pre-titles Jordan also. Pre-titles.
For sure. Well, the one thing aside from the ability, which we all know we've been watching, and aside from the intangibles and stuff like that on the court and the way he maneuvers around stuff, the thing that gave me goosebumps was in I think it was game 1 when they were playing Phoenix just now when they dog walked him. When he was when he took the ball and just started dropping threes in Kevin Durant's eyeball and just started shit talking to him on the way back to the court. That gave me chills, man. It's dude, who else does that? And he was even saying Durant's his favorite player. He was growing up, that was his favorite player. So to be on that stage, knowing now you're starting to accumulate those expectations or whatever because you're such a monster. When you start dropping threes on Kevin Durant and you're shit talking him on the way to back to play defense, it's goosebumps, man. It was epic. Absolutely. It was awesome to watch.
Yeah, no, he's incredible. Let me ask you this then, because there's been a debate around my circle of friends for the last like couple days now, and my neighbors too. One neighbor proclaimed him as the best player in basketball right now. I think that's a bridge too far. However, is Anthony Edwards a top 5 player right now?
I would put him up there. I would personally.
Top 5?
I would personally put him up there.
I think one of the things that I was listening to sports radio today, and the reason I would say the best, again, there's always the best conversation, right?
Yeah,
so I think listening to, I was on my car today working, and the reason why I feel that, and again, I would love to hear you guys' feedback, why I think Jokic right now is above all the rest is because he plays in a way where he doesn't care who gets the credit as long as we win. And that's dangerous, man. When you don't care who's getting the credit because you just want to win, the guy looks like he's playing with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and flip-flops, and he just doesn't give a shit. And that to me that's right now that's the top of the food chain. And I think that Anthony Edwards has the potential. I love that you guys said Michael Jordan pre-championships where he did lose some playoff games, etc. Because he's so raw, but he's so physically talented.
Yeah.
That he can be in 5 years that guy. Right now, man, I would challenge anybody with who's better right now for a team, for an MVP than the Joker.
I'm not even sure I can put top 5 yet, to be honest with you. First of all, I'm with you, Rudy. Jokic's number 1, and it's not even close. Let's start there. That's not even conversation. That's not even conversation. It's Jokic number 1, and then we can have a debate about everybody else. I have Edwards top. If you want to go top 10 with Edwards, I'm cool with that. Now, this playoff run can top 10. I mean, you still got Luka, you still got Giannis, you still got Curry, you still got Tatum, you got guys like that in the conversation right now. Now, here's what I'll say.
Top 5. Give me a top 5, straight up. Top 5.
So
number 1.
My 5 going into the now. This is going into the year. Now this is going to change next year when I do my
right now. No, right now, top 5. Right now.
That's what I was going to say right now too.
So this is the problem because I had Kevin Durant number 5 before the year started. He's going to be out though. He's going to be out when I do my rankings next year. You know what I'm saying? And I think this playoff run right now, Edwards can change that. Is he top 5 right now? I say no, but if this season depends where it ends. If it ends in the next round against Denver, if it ends in the conference finals, NBA finals, that can dictate how far he goes. Because if Edwards wins the title this year out of nowhere, this year, let's say the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets after beating Kevin Durant and the Suns, then beat OKC or whatever, and then beat the Celtics in the finals, I might give him top 2. So it's a fluid argument right now.
Sure.
And the Edwards, because right now we're going through the process right now.
Sure.
So
give me your top 5 tonight, like right now.
So,
your birthday, your birthday top 5. So we can have. It's funny, but it's not.
No,
like,
I get it.
Your birthday. So we can recap your top 5 next year's birthday. What's your top 5 on your birthday?
So let me. This is more complicated. Okay, so 1 is Jokic, obviously.
Number 5. Okay.
1 is Giannis. Jokic. 2 is Giannis. 3 Luka. 4 is Curry. 5 is tough because 5 comes here was Kevin Durant. That's gone. Tatum can make a conversation. If let's say Embiid goes on a run now. Let's say Embiid comes back to New York, and then makes a run late. Is he considered top 5? Maybe. I don't know.
No, he can't. He can't be. Honestly, Embiid has fallen out of that conversation, in my opinion. Embiid has fallen out of the conversation.
I will
this
say
is also coming from a complete bias side, which I completely echo. I'm right there with him. It's 100% change for both of us. I could speak for him on this one too. 100%.
Well, you guys were Embiid top 5 before?
I was an Embiid guy. I was saying top 5, top 6. I'm not saying that anymore. I'm very biased, so I'll leave it at that.
I had Embiid 7 entering the year, and that's winning an MVP, and he still went down my rankings this year. But again, it's tough because like we're still going through the process of what can happen in the weeks to come. Is Edwards right now in the span of this week and a half of the playoffs has been the best player in the playoffs? that's arguable. I think
Sure.
Jokic number 1, and maybe Edwards number 2, probably best player in the playoffs, maybe. But
do you guys know how many MVPs, NBA MVPs, have won the MVP that have ever been in the Eastern Conference Final? You know how many there have been?
that have never been there.
It's never happened, right?
He's the only one.
Who is?
Who's it? Oh,
And there's one other player that
LeBron's one, right?
of course, LeBron's one.
No, there's two.
The same season, right?
League MVPs. There's 2 league MVPs that have never been in an Eastern Conference or a conference finals. Embiid is one of them.
The year he won, or in his entire career? His entire career?
In general.
Up to this point.
There's been 2 MVPs that have not been.
Embiid's one.
Embiid's one. I'm not gonna guess. I can't guess the second one.
Let me think a little hard on this one. Give me about a couple seconds.
That one's gonna be hard. You're gonna have to look that one up. I don't remember who it was, but there's 2. I think there's 2.
It's not Dominique Wilkins, is it? No, he made a finals.
No, he did not make a finals or conference finals either.
He
didn't win MVP either, though.
I'll let you guys look that one up. There's two MVP league MVPs that have never made an Eastern or a conference finals. Embiid is one of them. And Cory will find it. It takes some seconds to find it. But that's why. So for me, when it comes to pedigree, when it comes to what you said, like about Jimmy Butler's heart, mistakes that have been made, the process, etc. I find it to be absolutely jarring that Embiid has kind of, in my opinion, fallen off where I felt like he was in general. And you're going to see. I fully expect the Knicks to close the series out. This guy played like 48 minutes. He's falling apart.
Yeah, he's definitely
not the guy is literally mulling around the court like he's 38 years old, and the guy's like early 30s, late 20s, whatever it is. It's a problem.
We talk about Anthony Edwards, but another guy should be gets considered top 5 building. SGA and OKC.
Oof.
He's a monster.
I'm mad that you brought that up because I was literally going to surprise you with him. I'm one of the biggest Stephen Curry fans ever. My father can attest to that. It's one of my boys for L.
Yeah.
SGA had a way better season than Steph did this year. Steph had a great year, but SGA is literally a finalist.
I'll top you on that. He had a better 2 years in a row than Steph
That's
Curry.
what I'm saying. So SGA has to be over Steph in any ranking you have. I'm sorry.
Probably. So if the conversation begins there, then is Steph Curry a top 5 player anymore? He had a great year still this year by virtue of. But
he had a great
and that's
year.
where I would challenge you. I would challenge you on the Steph Curry in the Steph Curry comment, because you can't be top 5 and lose a play-in game with practically the same squad that you had the year before.
Well, I could have been a better shooter than Klay Thompson was this year, Pop. Just some steps.
Klay was rough this year.
Bad.
I mean, all considering he went through this year, the fact they won 47 games this year with the Draymond stuff and Klay not being Klay and all the injuries, I think it's credit to Steph Curry how great he is. But that being said, SGA has been better for 2 years straight now. At what point do we start saying this is not a legacy conversation? This is the right now conversation. And SGA now is made a case now to be that guy. And now he's winning games now. Now he's number 1 seed in the Western Conference.
He's another one that captivates for the fans like Pop is, where they don't really watch too much basketball, but when they do turn it on, the guy's game is so smooth, it's so fun to watch. And I'm sure, I don't want to speak for my father or whatever, but I'm sure that's one of the reasons that he was kind of gauged into watching a little bit of current basketball now, is watching Shea, because he's amazing.
Yeah, and the thing is, no one. People are surprised that people say no because they don't know. They never watch him because it's OKC.
Right.
But you watch OKC, it's like this dude's. How did this guy get 35 points? How do you get
every single night?
And I watch, and I watch him every night. I have League Pass. OKC's my second favorite League Pass team to watch. I'm like, how the fuck did he get 40 points today?
He's amazing, man.
It makes no sense, but he does it.
For sure.
Well, I'm going to speak for our generation, right? So one of the things
you're saying we're old now, right?
Well, we're older. I mean, it's the truth. We got to accept it.
What are you?
I got my grown ass son here talking about shit.
What are you? 45? You're 45, right?
Yeah, exactly. So my thing is that and I think the timing of what we're doing right now is so great, because last night I watched my Knicks play in front of John Starks, Patrick Ewing, Spreewell, I mean, really, the only Laird Johnson, like really, the only person I was really missing was like Allen Houston.
Wasn't he? I thought Houston was at the game. No.
Yeah. I didn't see him. I could be wrong. Again, I could be correct.
Don't say that guy's name in my podcast ever again. Houston fucking guy.
Hey, right?
Made me cry in '98, bro. Seriously, jeez.
So the point I'm making is when you look at what we were watching last night, when you look at Jalen Brunson, SGA, Anthony Edwards, let me tell you something, and this is relevant for what attracts me to watch what I was watching last night. Because I'm a lifelong Knicks fan. We've gone through some of the worst times and some of the worst like offensive outputs ever, and we all were a part of Jordan retirement in the early 2000s and some of the exotic Pistons wins and like some of those defensive games, some of those defensive championships. That what's happening now, what's going to keep us kind of really energized is some of that finesse game, and that comes from Jalen Brunson. Watching Jalen Brunson play,
I love watching.
It is literally it is what it is. And I hate to say it, but Jimmy Butler, I can loop him into kind of some of that, some of that excitement. But man, Brunson, SGA, Anthony Edwards, and the tail end of like Steph Curry, who's really kind of the godfather of that excitement. I remember watching Cory just erupt whenever like he would drop a three from wherever, to win a game. Listen, man, that is literally what's going to keep the game going. If it can be sustained. Of course, there's got to be some cleanup on some of the slowing down of like the NBA games. I think it's going to hurt the league in general. But watching Brunson do what he's doing and be like that one to have a two complement him and not be because I'm sorry, the Julius Randle thing and that type of basketball, it's not my thing. But watching Brunson work the way he's been working, man, and again, when I say Brunson, I'm saying SGA. I'm saying Ant Edwards, the mic'd up Ant Edwards, the talking shit, all that fun stuff. That's what keeps our generation involved, and that's just me being honest.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll say right now, I know this right for a fact because every year I do this on my podcast. I do a top 25 rankings of all the top 25 players in the league every single year going to the year. Those three guys you mentioned, Brunson, Edwards, and SGA. Are making massive leaps. I don't know where exactly, because again, this is still a fluid conversation about this season. But because I had Brunson, I think at 20, I had Edwards 21 before the year started. I had Brunson ahead of Edwards actually before the year started. I had Brunson at 20, I believe. They're making massive leaps this year. Obviously,
I know those rankings are going to be updated here like very quickly. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it could be. I mean, Brunson. I had Brunson at number 3 in the MVP ladder.
It's a joke that that wasn't discussed more. Obviously, coming from a biased standpoint, but it's a joke he wasn't in the conversation. Yeah, I feel like
that bothered me. What is clear though? He should be first team All NBA.
If he doesn't, that's a travesty, and I completely agree.
Yeah, I had I think my first team All NBA was SGA, Brunson, Jokic, Doncic, and Tatum. I think was the other one. Yeah. So
and it makes sense. Now I want to ask both of you this question, and I want an answer from both of you. Now, having discussed what we just discussed with Anthony Edwards, if you're starting a franchise tomorrow, you have to choose between Anthony Edwards or Victor Wembenyama for the next 15 years.
Oh my God!
You have to have one of those guys. You have to pick one.
You mean the two guys that I think will be the best players in basketball within 3 years?
That's exactly why I'm asking. That's exactly why I'm asking both of you because I'm under the same impression.
I'm leaning Wemby because he's special, and I think he'll be the best player in basketball within 3 years.
I mean, what the guy did this year is, and I want to let you answer it too. But watching, he's another one. Just watching him play, the guy doesn't make sense watching him play.
It's Wemby for me.
Huh?
I mean, I'm gonna answer that with something that we're gonna obviously touch on. How does Jim Harbaugh? How does he start? How does he build a franchise? Well, he's been quoted over and over for the last month. How does Jim Harbaugh start a franchise?
Build through the trenches.
Yeah,
you build them in the trenches. And who would be a trench player in the question that you just asked me? I'm old.
What, like a dog? Like a dog? You're gonna pick Ant. Ant's your boy. You're gonna pick Ant.
No, because I have to answer it with the fact that when you're okay, Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal. You build a franchise through your center, man. And I seeing Wemby do what he's doing, and I mean, I'm picking. If I'm drafting one of the two guys to start my franchise, I have to go with Wemby. I have to. Mine's more of a clear-cut answer than EJ.
Right.
I adore Anthony Edwards is my guy. He'd be my ultra number 2, but I got to start with Wemby.
What made Wemby so amazing this year is that he got better as the year went on. Most rookies don't get better; they either plateau or they get worse. He got better as the year progressed.
Scary.
And to me, on a really bad team, and the fact you got that in his rookie year is like, whoa, okay.
Well, EJ, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he one of the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year as a 19-year-old?
Well, on the Earnestly podcast NBA awards, I did here on this show. He was I picked him for the year. I picked him.
I mean, I don't
He's
think he
that damn
deserves
good.
it over Rudy because Rudy is like all world when it comes to defending. But watching just Victor be a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year as a 19-year-old in his rookie year, that's scary, man.
When
it really
you can
is.
block shots from the perimeter as well as from the inside.
Yeah, the guy's like 8'1". Of course he can. He's a monster.
Yeah. But it still takes work to do that. You have to put the effort in to do it.
Totally, of course.
You know what I'm saying? And to me, to be, look, I'll say it again: get that kid now while you can, because once Popovich figures it out and puts a team around him, they're gonna be a problem.
Are they gonna go ahead and get? Are they gonna go ahead and get my father's boy Trae Young? Are they gonna go get him this offseason?
It's funny you said that because my boy Zach on the show last night said that. He goes, that would be the perfect mix for, because Trae Young is so bad on defense. And that'll be the situation where he can be allowed to be bad on defense because, like, you have that guy behind.
Think about that pick and roll too.
Yeah.
That would be stupid.
Was that Rudy?
Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
This would be fun for the podcast because you guys are way more basketball guys than I am.
Okay.
Can you put to me in football terms,
What?
Each one of you individually, put to me in football terms how bad of a team did Wemby have around him, and explain it to me in football terms.
Ooh. Okay, so
Cory's ready. So give me a football version of how bad of a team Wemby had around him.
who's a bad team with a great quarterback?
No. Oh.
Great.
This
is great.
I wasn't gonna go that
Corey,
far.
I know Cory's already.
To be the only one that comes to mind, and you probably don't remember this, it was Deshaun Watson in Houston.
That's a good
one. It was
one.
1 year, I think, his second to last year in Houston when they went 4-12. But he had a phenomenal year stat wise. But because the team was so fucking bad, it didn't matter.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's all I can think of. To be honest with you, there's
I
no
understand that. That's
Yeah.
how bad these guys were.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah,
bad.
it's really that
That's
bad.
how awful
Yeah.
it was.
Holy shit.
Here's the worst part, and Cory, you may agree with this also too. He did what he did on offense, and they weren't even running the offense through him. A lot of times he's getting those points on putbacks or on second chance shots or on okay, we'll throw the ball to him because he's open, and then he'll just shoot the ball and make it, whatever.
Who's the second best
player? So bad.
Kelvin Johnson, maybe.
Pop, and then I want to continue this conversation. What's that?
Yeah. Who's the second best? Who's the second best player before Cory answers the football analogy? Who was the second best person on the San Antonio Spurs this year?
I think Kelvin Johnson was that Johnson kid.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Cory.
And that's not saying much. No one knows who he is.
All right. So firstly, to answer your question, Pop, I was going to say pick any Detroit Lions team that Calvin Johnson was on, and that's your answer right there.
That's a great one.
That pick
whatever
you want.
Even
Calvin
better in
Johnson,
mine.
That's good.
Calvin Johnson,
That's good.
Megatron on Cory's all-time favorite football players list. My dad can attest to that. That's one of my boys for life. Pick any Detroit Lions team you want with Calvin Johnson on it. That's the NBA terms. Now, my second thing I was going to say was, Pop, do you remember that one night I had NBA League Pass on? We had the Spurs game on, and it was that guy at the free throw line with the crazy ass hair color was shooting the free throws.
Shuhan.
The Rodman wannabe.
Yes, Rodman wannabe. Jeremy Sohan. It was so bad they were having him run point guard, and they were run the offense through Wembenyama. Yes, that's what I was trying to. And you were like, dude, who is this guy taking free throws one handed? You're like, this is fucking Rodman wannabe.
Wish.com, Dennis Rodman.
I was like, yeah, you're not gonna believe this, but this guy's actually the starting point guard. That's how bad they are.
Yeah, it was a wish. It was a Wish.com, Dennis Rodman.
Wish.com, Dennis Rodman.
Shit.
I'm gonna say it again. Get Wemby now while you can, because this team gonna be a problem in a couple of years. He will be the best player in basketball within 3 years. I'm telling you right now. I said 5 before you started. I said I put that even closer because that dude is just amazing.
Completely agree. Now, 2 things I want to drop. I got to do some hot take Stephen A. shit while I'm in here. 2 things I want to say right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Do it real quick. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
The commercial?
Right. No, hold on.
Commercials
I want you to hear this. Where you go? Okay, whatever. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna drop the hot takes when he gets back because he eye rolled me so hard with one of the hot takes I have going into next year. But one I want to touch on with you, and then he can come back into it, and we'll keep talking about it or whatever.
Yeah.
Biggest hot take I have going into this next NBA offseason or the following: Giannis Antetokounmpo will be a New York Knick. I'm gonna drop that bombshell for you. That's my hot take. He's gonna be a New York Knick.
It only happens if you request a trade.
It only happens if you request a trade. I feel like he's going to be a New York Knick, and I feel like it's. I mean, not written in stone or set in stone or whatever, but I feel like the stars are aligning, man.
Here's what I'll say about that. I don't know if Giannis will be the guy that will go to New York, but I will say the success of the Knicks the last 2 years, and especially this year with Jalen Brunson, is even though we can't stand the owner, on James Dolan, I'm sure you can't stand him either.
I will give him his credit, and I don't want to cut you off. I will give him his credit. He's backed off the last few years and just let Worldwide West and those guys do their thing. Man.
That's true. No,
he's
I mean,
off. You don't hear much about him anymore, but I got to give him his credit there.
He does spend money. He does spend money. I always give him his credit for that. He just doesn't know how to spend it properly. Anyway, but it may not be necessarily Giannis, but there's no doubt. I have no doubt now with the way things are going to Knicks that within the next year or so, another star will be going to New York. It could be Devin Booker. It could be a Kevin Durant. It could be Giannis. So who knows? Giannis, well, he had to request a trade for that to happen, but there will be another star in New York for the next 2 years.
Pop, so what I just told EJ, and I wanted you to come in on this. I said one of my 2 hot takes, you already know one, and you're going to eye roll it. But the second one I had was Giannis is going to be your New York Knick this offseason or next offseason. Yep, see, and I got the eye roll on that one too. Just watch, boys.
You don't want him?
I see Kevin Durant in New York. Kevin Durant in New York. If it, my son has a little bit of illusion on franchises. There's no chance. There's no chance. There's certain players that franchises will not allow to they'll do anything not to lose. Giannis.
But that's why EJ just said, as long as you request a trade, because you're absolutely right. That's literally why right when you were coming back, EJ said only if you request a trade, because you're right.
Here's what I'll say. I'm not gonna rule that out. I don't think it'll happen this year. I think Milwaukee will have the all-in year next year. Doc Rivers now has a built-in excuse now, because Doc Rivers sucks. But hey, we lost. I lost. You think so? I didn't have Giannis, and Dame missed half of the series. And when he loses in Indiana tomorrow night, the excuse is there. So he'll have another year to prove himself. This is the all-in year for Milwaukee. If you don't win a title this year, or let's get to the finals again next year, then I can really see a scenario where Giannis requests a trade.
New York
will be involved.
I mean, I could see it, but we're talking about. But we have to be. You have to be honest with the fact that we're talking about okay, Kobe, who I adore, and he is to me Mount Rushmore, right? So I have my Mount Rushmore players. Kobe's there. What did Kobe do after they lost? They got swept by the Suns. I'm sorry.
Lost in 7 games.
Kobe hits a game winner. They go up 3-1 against
Correct.
the Suns. And then what happened?
After
they go up 3-1 on the clutch, the Suns go on a 3-game run. They beat the Lakers, and what does Kobe do?
They shoot a damn shot in the second half of the game.
He requests a trade.
Yeah, requests a trade to the Bulls.
Yes, almost happened too.
Giannis is not that type of player. He did. Remember that? That was a big deal. It was like the whole thing. That's what broke apart the Lakers. That's where Shaq ended up going back to Miami, whatever. I'm saying I'm bringing that up for a reason. Giannis is not that type of player, man. You guys are talking about a guy that's built entirely different, man. He's a Tim Duncan guy. Tim Duncan, Giannis. I'm gonna go ahead and say like a Luka Doncic. Those guys, they're not designed. They're not built that way. They're not built to say, "Get me out of here," because I want to be in a bigger market and I want to win. They're not built that way. These guys are built different, man. And those are 3 names that I'm telling you. Go back to Tim Duncan. That was one of the most humble Greg Popovich ultra players that never ruffled feathers. He just wanted to go grab his lunch pail, do work, and win. Look at Joker, same thing. And you guys can, I guess you guys can correct me on it, but I feel like Giannis falls in that category, man.
See, I agree with you.
Go to work,
make
it happen.
See, I agree with you for the most part on that, but there's been some things I've seen in recent last year with the coaching thing with Bud, and now the coach thing with Adrian Griffin. He's getting it's a little bit of I'm not gonna call him a diva tactics, but it's little things where he's trying to push around his weight a little bit now. I think he knows that he's the best player and he's the most important figure in that franchise. I'm not saying that will happen, but it would not surprise me if the Bucks implode next year, and remember that you're older. On top of that Giannis does get restless. Is you know what? Try something else, because not for nothing, but his window is closing too. Because I'm not saying he's old, but because he's not a very skilled player in the way that Durant is or someone else,
he's going to age way quicker.
Yes. See, LeBron.
Okay, well,
LeBron is not. LeBron could shoot the ball at his age.
Okay, so each one of you guys monetarily, how does that guy? How can he even land? Look at the contracts, look at the structure, and look at the chemistry in New York. Outside of Durant and finding a way to package him into the Knicks, how do you bring a Giannis with guys that are on the books already? You know that Brunson's going to be a huge payday. You know that 100%.
He's on the best value contract in the history of the NBA.
100%.
Randall's not going to go cheap. That's not going to you can't get rid of Randall to get Giannis in a cheap way. So how does that even happen? Give me a package where somehow Giannis ends up on the Knicks.
Well, hypothetically speaking, of course, so that's all we're doing right now. It's all about making a money match in NBA salaries and whatnot. So it would be Randall, and just let's throw it out for instance this offseason. It would have to be Randall, it would have to be Bogdanovich, and probably one or two more guys, and then you have to throw 4 or 5 first rounders at them. And the Knicks have a plethora of them right now. It have to be that would have to be right around what the package would be, and it would be Giannis and a couple fillers. Would I be okay with that? 200%. Bring the guy in. But I mean, you have to make the money's match. You don't necessarily have to do that in the NFL. Just one of those little differences.
In layman's terms, what Cory is saying, when there's a will, there's a way, and the Knicks will find a way.
Exactly.
They'll find a way. Exactly. They'll find a way. I do think it's more realistic though that Kevin Durant will be the one on the move.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all know Donovan Mitchell's coming for free next offseason. Not this one coming up, but next.
Donovan Mitchell is a bad idea. Donovan Mitchell is a ball first guy. It is a bad idea. You're pairing him up with a ball first guy. I gotta agree with my boy Colin Coward.
Please.
No, I have to. Brunson is an A, and if you try to bring another A in the game with him, you got to bring in a B. And Kevin Durant does not want to be an A. He wants to be a B. Anytime he's ever been an A, it's always been a problem. It's always been a hassle. Whether it's been in the old OKC situation, or even now where they were kind of really leaning on him. His game fits way better with the Jalen Brunson.
But
I'll argue that with each one of you guys. Okay, because that's where he thrives, man. Where he's the guy that Brunson can pass the ball off. We could package Julius Randle in a way where it would make sense. We might not break up the Villanova thing as much, and we can get Kevin Durant. No, that's what I'm saying. So we can get, without packaging mega pieces, we can get Kevin Durant over and have him help us win a championship if it does happen this year.
And that's why I think it'll work, because Durant just wants the ball. He doesn't care about leadership.
The guy just wants to hoop, man.
And he's telling you that. It's not like he's sitting there saying one thing. He's telling you, I want a ball. So he would fit in New York because Brunson's the leader of that team. And I think that would fit actually perfectly.
that actually makes a lot of sense.
I think Durant fit well in New York and Miami, actually, for the same reason.
No, let's not do that. You guys don't.
Well, you want that because you don't want it to happen. That's why.
I don't want the situation. Because the Heat fan base is already insufferable as it is, and I'll throw it out there. Come at me with that, but it would be a whole lot worse if they got KD.
I'll be honest, he Twitter gets a little saucy at times.
It's bad. It's really bad, EJ. Now let me drop. Now we can.
What's the other hot take you had? Yeah, you had 2 hot takes. What's the other one?
This is my second one. We can kind of segue with this one if you guys want.
Go ahead.
I told my pops this. He's gonna eye roll even harder. I'm fine with that. Josh Allen will be the starting quarterback for the New York Football Giants next offseason. Starting quarterback. Write it down.
If you don't believe in God, now's the time to start praying.
Do what you got to do, EJ. Take a picture, write it down, record it. That's what's gonna happen, baby.
Bro, this is not my.
I will splooge on my computer right now. That ever happened, dude.
That's what's gonna happen, EJ. I'm telling you, bro. Listen to your boy for once. For once, bro. It's gonna happen next.
I'm a big Josh Allen guy, first off. So don't get me started, okay? Do not get me started.
Gonna happen.
The question is, what would be the motivation for Buffalo to trade him?
Now, all right.
Josh
so
Allen.
Let me walk you through this because I did this with my father the other day. He was laughing it off. Yeah, okay, bro. Sure. He was giving me the thumbs up. Like, yeah, okay, well, sure, bud, whatever. We go into this season. Daniel Jones comes completely off the books. He gets hurt again, week 9, week 10, whatever it is. The guy's going to get hurt.
Yeah,
Drew Lock comes in. Drew Lock comes in. He finishes out the year. It's fun. We don't win games, but it's a lot of fun watching him play. Giants are one of the few teams remaining that actually need a face of the franchise starting quarterback. Buffalo's completely resetting, retooling. They drafted a bunch of young guys, brought in a bunch of young guys. They have a good regular season. Everybody knows the Bills are going to be in the playoffs. They own the Dolphins, whatever. It's fine. They go into the playoffs. They lose in the wild card of the divisional again. It's super disappointment. Everybody in Buffalo's pissed off. He's more pissed off than anybody else. He wants to go to a team where they're starting to put the pieces together, build through the trenches. Like my father just said, that's how Popovich likes to do it. That's how my boy Joe Shane's been doing it all offseason this offseason. We're retooling the offensive line, retooling the defensive line, bringing in Brian Burns, doing the nasty stuff, accumulating picks, not giving out big contracts, putting ourselves in a good cap situation next year.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen becomes unhappy, wants out, and wants to go to a team where they're starting to put the pieces together. He's very familiar with Brian Dable, had his best years with Brian Dable, very familiar with Joe Shane. We have a couple guys from Buffalo already. Joe Shane makes it happen, brings them in. We reset all over. NFC East, let's go. 2025, baby. Josh Allen.
Now, here's the first thing real quick. Well, first off, Rudy, how do you feel about Cory's Cory's little soliloquy here? Scripted. By the way, scripted. Like a WWE style.
Jay, the best advice I can give you about your children is avoid letting them move to Colorado and get on some heavy-duty drugs. That's my best advice for you as a father.
All right.
Do everything you can to allow your children to move to Colorado and get high on whatever it is that this kid is high on, saying some nonsense like this. This is not my son. This is a version of my son that is very high in narcotics right now. Listen.
Now that we've gotten the you're crazy out of the way, now that we've gotten all that out of the way, just with both of you, I want reasonable, logical answers as to why that's not going to happen. Let's have a debate. Let's do this. Because
all right,
let's embrace it. Come on.
I'll start. EJ, you're next. All right. So
go ahead.
One thing I've learned in all the years that this is a sport that I am absolutely comfortable speaking to and all about. Yes. So on paper it sounds great. There's no doubt. I mean, and when he says it like that, it does make a lot of sense. Only because of the whole new era, demanding trades, things like that, etc. But and there's a huge but. Is that in the world of the NFL, unlike the NBA, and even unlike the MLB. I mean, obviously MLB is way more watered down, and
way more.
The moves are based on big market teams. When it comes to the NFL, man, there is almost an impossibility outside of an aging Russell Wilson, which, by the way, was rare to see that happen. To see a franchise quarterback get moved. In my lifetime and in EJ's lifetime, it is absolutely unheard of to move a franchise quarterback outside in his 20s, outside of where he got drafted and where he's had success. They will do everything. There's no scenario where I see that they move on from him. Yeah, because there's no draft picks worth. I mean, think about where he got drafted. Think about where Mahomes got drafted. Think of who got drafted ahead of him. There is no number one pick that is ever gonna compensate a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Justin Herbert. Which, I mean, I heard that comment made today on the air about like him potentially getting drafted at some point, or traded.
The Chargers shut that shit down instantly. They didn't even entertain calls.
Yeah, exactly.
So like that's what I'm saying. Like so there's just no way I see a guy in his 20s that is a ultra talent, that is a game changer, that drives, that will actually move the needle on a point spread, getting traded and moved on to a different team. There's no draft pick there's no amount of first round draft picks because you can miss on all of them. Like we have as Giants fans, we've missed on first rounders for however many years now. You guys can tell me however many years we've missed on first rounders. So
we being Giants, right? Of course, we suck, but yeah. Let me say for the record, I pray to every God that exists. I pray on the Donald Trump Bible that you bought. Okay, that scenario, Cory, plays out. Let me say for the record, I'm rooting for your scenario to play out. But as your father said, that shit good in Colorado, isn't it? Because the reality is this, though. For that to happen, the only way it happens is if he wants out. And I don't think he's going to want out of Buffalo. I think he loves Buffalo. I think he genuinely loves Buffalo. And the little friction that we've seen in him in Buffalo, that problem is gone now. Stephon Diggs is gone. So that's a chance to bring in a whole new cast of characters there. I hope it happens. Don't be wrong. I love Josh. I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen play football.
So even including the fact that next year's draft class for quarterbacks is not anywhere as good as this one is going to be or projected to be.
Right.
Giants are in a great cap situation.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills realize maybe that the front office realizes that they've hit their ceiling with how far they can go with Josh Allen. But I mean, in that along those terms and in their defense, when you're in the same conference as Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, every other team's going to have a ceiling every year. But Buffalo feeling like they hit a ceiling with how far they can go with Josh Allen, knowing that they have to retool and they have to they have to get better everywhere else, and try and cross their fingers that one year they can find a year where Mahomes is hurt or the Chiefs have a bad year or whatever the case may be, that they can finally get over the hump and get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. Knowing all of that, you don't think the Giants or Joe Shane even calls Buffalo brass and is like, hey,
well, first off,
it's crazy, but what do you think it would take to try and snag Josh Allen off?
First off, let's hope that Joe Shane and Brian Daboll still in place after next year, because Brian Daboll's in a sneaky little hot seat right now. I'm not saying it's right, and nor should they even snatch a guy who has another bad year because the team is bad. But there is a little bit of Brian Daboll pressure now going to next year.
I disagree in a sense, and I want Pop. You can jump in whenever you want. I disagree in a sense because I think the front office and I think Mara knew how bad that Dave Gettleman situation, that fucking bullshit he put us through for years as far as cap went and all the draft picks we whiffed on. And I think Mara knew how long it was going to take for Shane to get us out of that hole. And look what he did just even this offseason. He's building the team how he wanted to build the team. He brought in 4 or 5 offensive linemen, drafted a receiver, which I wanted to go quarterback, and Shane wanted to too, and trade up for May, but New England said no, but that's a different story. He traded for Brian Burns. He extended him immediately, so now that defensive line is already one of the best in the conference, maybe the league. So he's building the way he wants. He's building the team the way he wants to build the team. So I think both him and Daboll both get a longer leash because they both knew like what they were signing up for, and Mara knew what situation he was inheriting too. So that's where I slightly disagree with you on that.
Then why do you extend Daniel Jones in this franchise instead of just franchise him?
You extended him because you're crossing your fingers and hoping that 22 season he had, and I can vouch for it, and my dad was there too. We were both at that Minnesota playoff game.
I remember that. I was texting you guys during that game, man.
We were texting us that game. We partied hard after that. It was one of the best nights I've ever had in my entire life. Different story, different conversation, but you're paying him based on the fact that you're hoping he extends that 22 season into this past season, into the 24 season. But the way they structured the contract was, and I applaud Shane for this too, he's only guaranteed up until through next year. So they can cut him loose with a $0 cap hit after this upcoming year, and they can start fresh with whoever.
And that's why.
Wants.
And that's why when they did resign him, I did defend the deal at the time because I called it a sneaky franchise without a franchise. Like it's only a 2-year deal.
100%. You have to extend him. You can't let him walk. That's why when everybody was up in arms about them only franchise tagging Barkley and re-signing Jones, at that point it's all about positional value. You can't extend Barkley, and you can't franchise tag Daniel Jones, who you're thinking at that point in time is a franchise quarterback.
My only thing is that Saquon. The thing about Saquon is, look, I understand the logic of the running back thing, but you can't replace Special. He's special.
Oh, please don't let. That's a different topic. I don't even want to get into that. That guy, in the words of Tiki Barber, who I'm not a big fan of, that guy's dead to me. So.
Oh God, you still mad about that, bro?
Yeah.
I remember your Instagram though. That like when that thing happened. Look, I get it. My thing is the minute you don't, they didn't even offer him a deal, man.
They didn't want to bring him back.
So why be mad about that? Philadelphia gave him the most money he won on the market, open market.
You also give him the most money on the market. It is what it is. Whatever. As someone that was the face of the franchise for how long has it been since he's been drafted? 2018. What is that?
2018.
5, 6 years. What is that? 5, 6 years he played
6
for?
6 years actually, yeah.
6 years. When you wear that blue and red and you don that New York right on top of your chest, you cannot, and you're the face of the franchise. You cannot go to one of the two teams that Giants fans literally like it's a personal hatred.
Man.
You can't go to one of those two teams. I'm sorry.
I'm with you on that. And look, there is no franchise in sports I hate more than the Eagles. Ask my wife; she'll tell you. Trust me. But loyalty goes both ways, man.
Oh, come on, man.
I hate using Philadelphia. I hate it, but.
And on that same note, whatever. If he handles it with grace. If his first point is to, hey, let me drop something on social media. I know it doesn't look great, like just optics wise. Let me write like a well thought out message to all Giants fans, to all New York City, and all of that, saying how much I appreciate them, how much I love them, and all that. He went straight to Twitter and he started getting into it with Tiki Barber. He went into it with Giants fans. He started like it took like literally his PR team to tell him like, hey, you gotta post something, man. Like the optics on this are really bad.
But Tiki Barber's an asshole too, though.
I don't disagree.
That dude quit on that guy has no leg to stand on. That dude quit on the Giants in 2006. Fuck that guy.
Don't disagree with you. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not a Tiki Barber guy. Yeah. But Saquon's immediate move was to start going after people, trying to defend his own position and his own stance, rather than like what's the word I'm looking for? Then approach a situation and be like, hey, Giants fans, I love you guys. You guys are fantastic. At the forefront. He waited until like it got bad, like an hour or two later, knowing how much he pissed off Giants fans in the entire city of New York.
I think what happened on his end, I'm not defending him here. I think he was probably so pissed and so hurt that they didn't even make a attempt to resign him. And because of that, it's like, well, you don't value me, so then fuck you.
Fine. If he would have went to Houston, if he would have went to literally anywhere else outside of Dallas and outside of Philadelphia, he could have even went to Washington.
Rudy, this is what the age is going to play now. Oh, this is where the age part comes to play.
What's your take? What's your take, bro? Go ahead. Lay it on me.
Go ahead, Rudy. Do your Saquon take.
Come on, man. Do your Saquon take.
I feel like Stephen A right now because I'm about to say,
stay off the weed.
Bamboozled. I am uncomfortable today.
Hoodwinked.
I am comfortable. I feel hoodwinked. And I feel like it is a travesty what's been going on with the Giants. But no, I mean,
all you need the hairline back here. It's pretty good.
I know I'm going to pull my hair back, but two things that are well, the most important. You both know me so well. There's one team that matters to me more than any other team in any other sport. This is dear to my heart, so I want to address two things. I'm going to address the Saquon thing, and I'm going to address I've waited for this opportunity because it's being recorded. I can see it in the top corner, so that I can say this. 17. I can talk to this at the end of this next football season.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to ask you boys a question. When it comes to the first thing I'm going to address is the thing that's very dear to my heart, right? It's Daniel Jones' topic. NFL draft 2023. Who are the first 4 quarterbacks taken off the board?
In 2023?
2023. Without looking it up, who are the
Bryce
first
Young,
four
DJ Stroud.
Okay.
Will Levis and
Correct.
Kenny Pickett. Who's the other one?
Give me the school.
Got one more. You were close. You got 3 of them. You're missing one.
Bryce Young,
first 4 quarterbacks taken off.
Will Levis.
Bryce Young, DJ Stroud. You said Will Levis, and there's one guy you're missing.
Give me if you say the school, I'm gonna know it. So don't give me the school.
Florida.
Anthony Richardson, my boy. AR.
Oh yeah, AR-15.
Yeah.
All right, EJ. Of those 4 quarterbacks, give me their 2023 results of those 4 quarterbacks. Bryce Young, A, B, C, D, or F grade.
D. But it's not his fault though. The team sucked.
We're not doing semantics.
Not team success.
You're right. We're not doing faults.
All right, D. I wasn't a D. Disappointing.
CJ Stroud, this is easy.
A+, go ahead.
A+,
Next.
A+.
A+++++. Next.
Richardson without the asterisk. Richardson.
When he
B.
played, he was solid. Give him a B.
B.
We're not talking about regardless of injury status. How did his season end up?
B.
Out.
I would disagree. I would disagree with that one. Will Levis.
C+.
B-.
That's
B minus.
C+.
B minus. I say I get B minus. He is.
That is B minus is like you're giving the guy flowers. So my point is
small
this.
sample, of course.
Small sample, of course. Okay, so those are all. That's the top 4 quarterbacks of last year's draft.
Yeah.
One huge success. There's no argument. The guy surprised me. The guy could barely put words together, and the guy blows up in his rookie year. Amazing. Gets my respect. Bryce Young, first top pick, disaster. Will Levis, dude, you guys say C+ and B-. I don't give him that. And Richardson, dude, phenomenal talent, but I would challenge that he's going to be in the league that long. Honestly, the way he plays,
right.
the way he plays, he's playing like an amplified Griffin III.
Right.
Like where he's just potentially going to be like out like indefinitely.
I can see that.
So I say all that to say this. I've been a Daniel Jones truther since he got drafted. Not since after he got drafted, because I was one of those guys beating on the table. You and I talked about it. I was not like super thrilled.
You went
but
to
you
the
know what,
game. Did
man?
you go to the game when he started?
He went. Yeah, he went. No, he went.
Yeah,
This is how we did it. Okay, go ahead. My bad.
No, Corey. Okay, Corey.
This is how we did it. And this is like one of those other things where it takes us back to what we were talking about originally, because I love to associate my sports with life memories. So he was at the game in Tampa. He made his first rookie start. I was watching the game on my laptop on Stream East, sitting on a couch in North Carolina, because that's where I was working at. I spent the summer up there. That's where I started like kind of branching away from home. But anyways, I was watching the game on a laptop. And I was freaking out. We were both freaking out together because he was at the game and I wasn't, which is another story for another day. But at the end of the game, I think if I remember correctly, Tampa was they were going for the game-winning field goal. He was at the game, and right as Tampa was going for that field goal, my laptop glitched out. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, there's no way this just happened. Meanwhile, my phone's getting completely blown up by, you can figure out who's blowing my phone up. Like freaking out that they just won. And I'm like, oh, great, you just spoiled the game. Awesome. I'll have to watch the rest of it, this and that. This dude parties like crazy. He's at the game. He's celebrating. We're going back and forth. Rah, rah. We found our guy. The following week after that, however, him and I both made the trip up to MetLife Stadium and watched his first home start against Washington. We were both there for that, which was really cool. But go ahead. I'll let you finish what you were going to say, Pop. I just want to throw that out there.
I appreciate that. That brings back memories too when he remembers it that way, because honestly, man, this guy, and I've been watching football my whole life. I am a huge believer in, I started this whole conversation that we're having on this podcast with, how do you build a team? How does Jim Harbaugh build a team? This guy's been successful at every team he's been at. He builds his team from the inside out. And we have not done that. This guy has not had a solid, we've missed on the Evan Neals. We've missed on these guys. We've missed on O-line guys. We've missed on the Patriots guy. Cory, say his name. I forget. The guy that we signed for a bunch of
Logan Mankins?
Is it?
Nate Solder.
Thank you. No, yeah, Cory said it. Nate Solder.
Okay.
We missed on that guy. The guy that was burning money.
Disaster.
We've missed on the Galladays. We've missed on all these guys. This young man has not had this guy's had 4 head coaches. He has had no O-line, and he's had no number 1 receiver. And the only number 1 receiver we tried to provide him with, and I'll go further than that, ended up being a fail. The number 1 tight end that we signed is potentially contemplating a retirement. So he literally has played half a year with us, which I've always been opposed to, like signing a guy coming off a contract year where they've blown it up because they had to, so they can sign it, so they can get the bag. This is his first year. And I'm going to say this on the record for both of you guys, so you guys can call me out next year at the end of next season. This is his first year with a second-year coach that's offensively minded, with a rebuilt offensive line and a all-pro, super stud, rookie wide receiver. I'm saying right now on record, and it says 114 recording in the top left corner. If this guy, if he doesn't do it this year, you guys have every right to tell me that I've been wrong about this guy. He has not had a chance. I've watched him play. I've followed him since he got drafted. It has been. I've seen all the comments. I've seen all the anger over not. Cory and I were chatting about it, and I think you and I talked about it last week. Mm-hmm. Sean made an effort to go for man, but maybe that was a blessing in disguise, man. This kid out of LSU is a monster. He's a beast. This is like, to me, it multiplies the excitement I had over Odell Beckham. I think this guy is belt's more solid than him. He's more electric than him, in my opinion. You guys can question me on that one, but I think this guy can set him up for success. And if he fails this year, I want to be on record on this podcast. If he fails this year, then he deserves to be a failure. And I'll take everything you guys give as far as him not being the guy, but he hasn't had a chance. And I think this is his year. And I think Sean
EJ,
yeah.
EJ, I know we haven't let you talk much.
No, that's right.
Yet. No, I want to combat Pop with, even besides like the ability aspect and besides like the team support aspect, the guy literally cannot finish seasons healthy. If it was like 2 years ago when he had the neck issue, and I remember that very well because when I was flying down for the Dolphins-Giants game a couple years ago, he had a neck problem flare up, and I was forced to sit there and watch Mike Glennon play quarterback for the New York Giants. I remember that.
Was fun.
That was a nightmare. I vividly remember having a very, very, very nice buzz leaving that stadium because I couldn't watch the guy sober. The guy literally, Daniel Jones, cannot finish seasons healthy, and that's even not just disregarding everything else when it comes to like his ability, the team support, the coach support, whatever the case may be. Availability is the best ability. That's why my franchise quarterback for life, number 10, Eli Manning, will always have a special place in my heart because the guy showed up every single Sunday, lunch pail. Let's go to work. I'm going to be here. I'm going to play no matter what.
I named my son literally after him.
You named his kid after him.
So I don't have to preach it to you because you already know. The Eli Mannings, the Peyton Mannings, the Drew Brees, aside from his early years, one of my Hall of Fame all-time favorite players of all time, Tom Brady. Those guys never miss games. This guy can't finish.
This guy's been getting killed.
That's another reason why I don't mind moving on.
This guy's been getting killed his whole career.
I mean,
Eli Manning had a line.
I mean, Rudy has a point that the line, but at the same time, you got to find a way. You got to find a way because even if the line is bad, it's still one of those things where, like, when he is healthy, it's sometimes good, sometimes bad, and it's one of those things that he's not consistent. Is the potential there? Is he talented? Absolutely.
You guys have to put everything in context, man. Both of you guys. Eli Manning had a weapon. Eli Manning had weapons, plural, throughout his entire career. Well, I'm going Shockey to Burris to Hakeem Nicks to Odell Beckham to Ahmad Bradshaw to Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah.
I'm saying that this is the year where I'm on board with you guys that this guy's not the guy. If in fact he just can't get the ball to
at this point,
absolute studs. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They've added pieces to the line and they gave him a number one wide receiver. This is the year where, in all fairness, and I say this, you named your son after Eli. Cory, you grew up. This is your guy. I get it. I'm all for it. Eli Manning backed up Kurt Warner and walked into a weapon his entire career. Not only his early on in his career, but he was given Odell Beckham with pieces around him to finish off his career. And that is very relevant, man. By the time this kid out of Duke, who has been, yes, a disappointment, but I've seen the flashes of talent. By the time he got here, all that stuff was gone. He's had Sterling Shepard, who's retiring at like 28.
He retired, probably?
He already retired.
He retired?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he didn't announce it.
Yeah, he's done. I mean, he had last year, Cory, who did he have? Wan'Dale Robinson and the kid that we drafted.
Yeah.
That's it. That's literally absolutely it. He got hurt. He's been getting killed.
Don't disrespect your boy
his
Darius
entire
Slayton.
career. Yeah, the guy you love that drops passes like crazy. You want you screaming to your phone. Yeah, I mean, anyways, that's my thing. As far as Saquon goes, listen, you know what? I agree with Cory. I have zero disagreement with Cory on it. I think he's handled it like an absolute clown. I'm glad he's gone. He was in a contract year. That was shockingly and coincidentally the guy performs in his contract year, and it's the 1 year that he plays like almost the entire year healthy, which he probably pushed himself just so he can get his bag. And I guarantee you, I'll put any money that I have. And by the way, Devin Singletary's numbers last year versus Saquon, they were almost identical. I guarantee you 100% that the Philadelphia backfield will be a running back by committee backfield. 100%. This guy's not going to finish the season. That's all I got to say about that.
So I completely agree.
So the New York, so the New York Giants draft. I want to talk about the draft real quick. So they had 6 picks in the draft. Round 1, they had Malik Neighbors from LSU receiver. Round 2, Tyler Newman, the safety. Round 3, Andrew Phillips, cornerback, Kentucky. Round 4, Theo Johnson, the tight end from Penn State. Right, you have an idea that they're probably looking at Waller being gone at this point. Round 5, Tyrone Tracy Jr., running back from Purdue. And then round 6, Darius Mousaw, the linebacker for UCLA. Cory, I ask you first, this draft, did it address all the needs we need from last year?
Besides quarterback, yes. What we needed and what I've been telling everybody, and I didn't really get to discuss it with Dad or whatever, but what we needed in the drafts, I mean, I literally called word for word. I said we need to go receiver or quarterback first round. Then we need to go secondary. We need to go safety or corner. That's exactly what my boy Shane did. We plugged up cornerback 2, which was a need. Cornerback 1 is my boy Deontay Banks. Banks are closed on Sundays. Don't play with the man. And then they literally just brought in today. That's all I gotta say, baby. Banks are closed on Sundays, bro. Don't play with my boy. Don't even throw in his direction. That's my boy right there. Even today, like I don't want to go too far away from the draft, but today they just brought in David Long Jr. to kind of bring in that veteran they desperately needed in the secondary. But cornerback, safety, tight end, and then they went depth at linebacker, which they also really needed badly. So I mean, he knocked it out of the park. He's got everybody I wanted aside from Drake May. Even then, he tried to go and grab Drake May. And New England said no because we went back to the franchise quarterback conversation, which I totally understand. But overall, he did exactly what I wanted him to do, and I'm really excited with the limited picks they had.
What do you think about this draft from the Giants?
A lot of what Cory said. I mean, for me, I think that our second rounder, the safety Newman is I mean, the guy was actually a first round talent. So I've looked at some articles and some of his tape. I mean, the guy's a first round talent and he's got heart. Our third rounder, the cornerback out of
Phillips, Kentucky.
Yep. Kentucky. He was the guy was crying when he got drafted. I mean, the guy's showing massive heart. Anytime I've seen a Giant rookie crying, it's always become an animal. I love the heart. I feel like the tight end was a little bit of a stretch. He doesn't come off the line. It's not a good blocking tight end.
He's had some injuries.
He is a physical freak. I will give you that. I'm a little jaded on a pass on a tight end that's weak on pass blocking just because of our pass blocking. I'm a little jaded. But overall, man, I mean, I know I saw some negativity on like not drafting any interior. We're the only NFL team this year that did not draft an O lineman or a D lineman. So that's a fact. We did not. I think we've done work to get there. But again, that goes back to what I said. I mean, we needed some skill, some position skill players. We got those. Yeah. I'm super thrilled about what we have. I mean, Wyatt, Cory and I watched him. We literally broke him down last year. You and I talked about him a couple times when we walked through, when we caught up, EJ, you and I last year.
Yeah.
I think guy's got speed, he's got talent. I think with adding Neighbors to the mix, I think it's going to be, again, everything that I said before. But overall, I'm pleased with the draft. What I've liked, I mean, I'll be honest, no joke, just seeing what I've seen with some of the tape on May, what I'd like to have given the farm to get him. Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be like fake about it. Yeah, I would have. I mean, if Cory and I talked about it, we end up with May. We end up moving up to the third pick. I mean, I probably don't sleep that night, honestly. You know, we draft May. We have Jones in the mix, and they're fighting for the spot. Yeah, I mean, I'm all over it. But the other thing happened, which could be a conversation where we're like, you know what? I'm so glad we didn't trade off for May because we finally give this kid the opportunity to succeed, and that's where I'm at because I love the draft. I love where Schoen's at, and I think they're all in on the fact that like we're either going to make this thing work or we're not going to have a job in New York next year, and I think that's where they're at. And I think they really put their best foot forward to put the best to. I mean, let's not lose sight of some of the other additions on defense and the amount of like money that was spent in free agency to get the right guys and put pressure. Because like Cory said, you put these you draft these secondary guys. You're adding secondary guys to a pass rush that's going to be filthy and scary. So let's be real.
Listeners podcast know with me in the draft for the last couple of years. I don't get high and low with this draft anymore. These are all fucking crapshoots. And these all crapshoots, dude. All across the board. Quarterback, it doesn't matter. Running back doesn't matter. It's all crapshoots. You know, and look, the talent I see here, based on who people have spoken to about this, these are good players. Neighbors, a really good player at LSU. But again, the quarterback is Daniel Jones. Can Daniel Jones, okay, is the stability now in that line to where he could actually throw the ball and have more than just one read? You know, again, I'm a pessimist with the Giants now because that's what for the last 13 years, 2 playoff appearances.
Well, 2022 was pretty fun, EJ. You can agree with us on that. 2022
it was fun and weird. It was weird.
Fun and weird.
It was overselling, and we knew.
What are your thoughts on Neighbors?
Huh?
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Neighbors? Like, what's your breakdown? Give me your.
Good.
You have to go through the whole draft. Okay, but what? Like, give me your breakdown. Like, what do you see? What was your ideal first round? What were you hoping to see?
I honestly did not.
What did you
Honestly,
feel about what happened?
I had zero expectations first round because, like I said, it can go either way. They can go on quarterback and try to apply pressure on Daniel Jones. They can go playmaker, receiver, which we obviously got here. I thought we got the kid from Washington, actually. What his name is?
So I wanted to Michael Penix.
No, not the quarterback, the receiver.
Oh, Rome Odunze?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that kid. Yeah, yes, correct. That one.
I was big on him.
Did you like him better coming out? Did you like him better coming out?
I watched him more last year than Neighbors, to be honest with you. So, because Washington was phenomenal last year, was a phenomenal team last year. Went to the national title game last year, so they were on national TV a lot. So I got to see him a lot more than I watched LSU games last year. LSU was out of it pretty much from the word go.
Cory, what did you feel about Neighbors versus Odunze?
Oh, I
never asked you that.
I do my research like way ahead of time because I'm a psychopath. I want to go on record saying I'm a psychopath when it comes to the Giants. I love the Knicks. I love the Mets. I love the Rangers. I love my New York sports. I'm a freaking psychopath when it comes to the Giants. That's the one team. Like
that's how with the Heat. Actually, I'm a psychopath with the Heat.
We all have that one team we're psychopaths about.
That's the Heat for me.
Along with everything else. I'm a psychopath when it comes to the Giants. So I care way more about the draft than people do. Like way earlier than everybody else does. But I want to go on record saying I wanted Saquon I think towards the end of 2017, that season, that disastrous season we had. I wanted Saquon. I started posting about him. I can go back into my Facebook archives and say, hey, we need to go find a way to draft Saquon Barkley, and lo and behold, we did. Anyways, I wanted Odunze originally. I didn't want to cut either of you off, but I was saying that I was way higher on Odunze like coming out. But after like seeing tape of Neighbors and seeing like just his demeanor and the aura, that's what the term we're using nowadays, the aura he has and just like the home run hitter ability he has and how he can step onto the field with the Giants and just immediately like become the stud that all Giants fans love and everybody walks around with his jersey. That's when I started leaning more towards Neighbors because he has that like it to him. And I feel like Odunze is going to be way better in Chicago than he would be with New York because in Chicago, like Caleb Williams is going to be the guy. Everybody knows that. And Odunze can kind of like step back into that secondary, like, I can do my thing without any pressure because on the opposite or on the two sides of me are Keenan Allen. He's been a stud for 10, 12 years now. And on the other side of that is DJ Moore, who's also really good. He can kind of go into that secondary, like lower expectations. as opposed to Neighbors who goes into that high pressure situation in a higher market, which is way more demand. And I feel like he'll have a better time doing that than Odunze would have. That's just my opinion. That's why I'm way more excited about Neighbors than Odunze. So
okay, no, I'm not either way. I'm either or. Like I said, the draft is a crapshoot, and I don't get high or low about it. To be honest,
well, my favorite pick that we made though was Newbin, because we all knew we were gonna go. The Giants in the first round were gonna go Drake May, or they were gonna go Malik Neighbors, and that was it. And I was totally content with that. For whatever reason, people decided to throw the smoke screen at JJ McCarthy was gonna be a Giant. I'm not gonna name names. Daniel Gary. I'm not gonna name names.
Has he named names? Troller.
I feel like it wasn't gonna happen. Chino, dog, love you. I just had to shout you out real quick. The two guys the Giants were going to get were Drake May or Malik Neighbors in the first round. So it wasn't two. It was a little bit predictable, but it wasn't really. My favorite pick was Newbin because he's plug and play for McKinney, who just got monster money from Green Bay, and the Giants were never going to pay a safety $16 million a year or whatever McKinney just got. And B, Newbin steps. He was the first safety off the board, which means he was the best safety in the draft, and everybody was saying he was the best safety in the draft. And they got him in the second round. So that's my favorite pick, and he's plug and play. He's an everyday starter. So that's why he's my favorite pick. So that's where I'm at. I'm excited.
The defense is going to be nasty.
What's that?
Defense is nasty, man.
Yeah, the defense was good last year. That's the one of the last spots on the team last year was the defense. They kept us in games.
It's going to be better. Better this year.
Yeah, I think the defense actually was one of the few bright spots of the year.
Now it gets even better because my boy Thibodeau has a monster on the opposite side.
Yes, and that's Lawrence too.
And in the nose tackle, best nose tackle in football, my boy Sexy Dexy. Now you have one of the nastiest defensive lines in football.
Yeah, definitely could be potentially top 5 line in football.
100%. Now that's why I'm super excited about it. I love what Shane's doing.
Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out with the Giants. All right, come on, things we get out of here. Rangers playoff run. I mean, look, I'm a mostly now casual hockey guy. I used to be hardcore back in the day. But it's hard now to watch both basketball and the NBA and NHL play at the same time. And I'm an NBA diehard. So, NHL does get love, but it's one of those things where it's on, but it's in the background, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Obviously they play Carolina this series. People I talked to said this is gonna be a hard series for us because Carolina is really, really good. They swept their way through also the first round as well. How you feeling about that series?
Well, I don't want to correct you on your podcast. I don't want to disrespect you. You're my boy.
No. Do you think?
But the Islanders got a game off of them, so they didn't sweep the Islanders. Carolina.
They didn't win a game. Thank you.
Crazy ass game on Saturday. Yeah.
You're right. Sorry about that. I apologize. Yeah.
Dude, you're good. I didn't want to disrespect you. You're my boy, and I love you.
Right, no problem.
The Rangers. So the thing now is, and I've slowly been getting way more into hockey over the last few years because I don't know if you two saw this or whatever, but. They signed a new TV deal with ESPN a couple years ago and Turner Sports. That way they could play more games nationally televised games. That way they can kind of grow the game, so to speak. So that's how I kind of jumped on board, and it also helped that the Rangers were also starting to get really good a few years ago. But so I've slowly been getting more and more into it. So now the hot topic is the playoff format for hockey because Carolina is a super nasty team, and so are the Rangers. Obviously, who just won the President's Cup trophy. So why are they playing in the second round as opposed to the conference finals when those are the two best teams in the East and have been all year long? So that's kind of what the hot topic debate has been. But as far as the Rangers-Canes series goes, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's probably going to be a 7-game series, but it's LFGR all day. Just like it's LFGK, LFGG. That's what it is, man. LFGM, that's all it is. So all day, Rangers in 7. Let's do it.
He's just so cool, isn't he, Rudy? He's just so cool.
He's the man.
Hashtag this LFG. Let's fucking go.
He's the man. It's like the perfect. It's like the perfect mix. It's like the perfect mix to the generational.
And
gap
he gives zero fucks either. He just
bringing old school, new school.
Yeah.
Rangers, LGM. Let's go match, baby.
Are you Rangers guy too, Rudy? Or are you just whatever?
No. He's whatever he is. He inherited it from me.
Okay, cool. So you Rangers.
He doesn't even care about the Rangers like that. So I had to find the Rangers on my own.
That's it.
Yeah, right.
So basketball is pretty much the only sport that us three, well, me, fall away from you guys. We were both Rangers fans, both Mets fans, both Giants fans. But
we disagree on basketball. That's it.
That's it.
Basketball.
Was that?
Basketball is the only sport we disagree. Is the only one we disagree on.
And that's the one I'm the most passionate
you're a
about.
Met guy. So yeah, we're good.
I'm very much a Met guy. Yeah,
that's your team. That's like it's like Cory and I with the Giants. Like
I'm a Heat diehard.
The only. I mean, Cory get like the Knicks will affect his mood. I mean, I'll be bothered by it, but the only thing that affects my Quan is the Giants, man. And Cory, like his whole like season gets ruined. His whole winter, fall gets ruined when the Giants.
The Giants used to.
But he gets passionate about the Knicks.
I know there's passionate Giants too, though. But it's not as bad as it was like years ago when I was younger. You know, when the Giants, it's like when the Giants had like a rough week. You ask anybody in the poker room, for example, it got bad for a little while. You know, ask anybody. You know, but with the Heat, I think with the Heat for me is that the reason why I have a connection with the Heat more than other franchise is that I've seen all the first. They're still a relatively young franchise. They've only been around 36 years.
That's crazy.
So I became a fan the second year of its existence. So I saw the first playoff berth ever, the first winning season ever, the first winning title. So I have a different appreciation for that franchise in a way that I can't for the Giants because the Giants have existed before I wasn't even a fucking sperm. Okay, so I mean, or an egg, whatever, you know. So it's like it's just different for me. Like it's a little more an investment, lifetime investment in a franchise I've grown up with, literally from pillar to post. So that's why the Heat thing is a little more passionate.
What's your earliest Giants memory?
It's a great question.
That's easy. 1990 when I became a fan. Super Bowl. Off the shoot.
Nice.
I remember the first year I got into football, 1990. We started the year 10-0. And this is where my hatred of the Eagles started, actually, that year. Because, and Rudy, you might remember this too. We're the same age, so you might remember this. We were supposed to play the Niners week 13 that year. And the Giants and Niners are both 10-0 that week, going to like week 12. And the Giants are playing the Eagles that week. And the Niners are playing the Rams that week. And after that week was the big showdown on Monday Night Football, Giants and Niners. Both the Niners and Giants lose that week. Okay, the first game of the year.
He doesn't remember this, EJ. He doesn't remember this, but go ahead.
No, the Giants lost 31-13. And I remember going to school, people making fun of me, Eagle fans. Oh, no, it's first game of the year, Randall Cunningham. And that's where the Eagles hatred started. One of my all-time favorite games in history of football was that next week as the Niners. Giants lost that game though 7-3, but it was a phenomenal defensive battle. And who would have thought we would beat them weeks later in a title game?
That was the wide right year, right?
That is the wide right year. We won the Super Bowl year.
Amazing, yeah, because it was 86, 90, yeah.
So 1990. So like we met the Niners like a month and a half later in the title game. Montana gets popped by Leonard Marshall. I had him on this podcast 10 years ago, actually, discussing that hit. And I asked him that question. I go, like, Leonard, do you think that hit would have changed the course of history? Because Montana never recovered after that. Montana played a couple of snaps for Niners like a couple years later, but he was gone by then. Steve Young taking over at that point. So that's my early memories of the Giants. That's that 1990 year. And I thought I got spoiled early. And then let's Parcells retires in May. They're bringing Ray Hanley, and he fucking sucks for 2 years. 8-8, 6-10 next 2 years. And I go another 16 years up until we win the Super Bowl. So, but 1990 was one of my early memories of the Giants.
So please cut us off if you need to cut us off and go and take off or whatever. But Pop, since you asked him that question, his favorite Giants memory. What's your favorite Giants memory?
It would be 1990, but it wasn't as far. It wasn't into the season. It was the postseason. It was watching. Honestly, for me, and I'll be honest, because I grew up with baseball. My parents didn't know football. It was watching O.J. Anderson run the ball.
Yeah,
I just thought there was something absolutely. I didn't know shit. I was a kid, and watching.
He wasn't even the starter that year. He wasn't even the starter that year. Ronnie Hampton was.
The starter that year. But that's what captivated me is that neither was Hostetler. Yeah. So Hostetler took over for a hurt Phil Simms.
Yeah.
And watching them in the playoffs and watching them in the Super Bowl and watching OJ, OJ Anderson, I didn't even know the relevance to OJ back then, but watching him run with his the way he was built, Bavaro and him with his pads and his dirty pants and his whole thing. And
yeah.
Hostetler, I thought was just dope the way he was throwing the ball. To me, that was where I was smitten by it. They won the Super Bowl. I thought it was as a kid, that was supposed to happen. The team rooted for won, and then it just went from there. You know, I became a Bill Parcells fan. He went to the Patriots. I watched them draft.
Yeah,
it was all a wrap from there. And then we sucked for a while, and you know that's what made it, I guess, balanced it out for me. Is that when I first started watching football, the Giants were winning, and then I got into it in high school and in middle school, and they sucked, and it made it all right. And then Kerry Collins came along, and then we got destroyed at the Super Bowl. Everything made sense.
I cried that game. I was 21. I cried. I was a little bitch, man. I cried because dude, it was such a great little run. We beat Minnesota. I remember that. So my brother, my cousin, they're not necessarily like they were big Randy Moss fans, so they were talking all sorts of shit for the MC title game.
We destroyed them.
And we 41-0.
Destroyed them. It was like 40-0.
41-0. Yeah. And I remember the first quarter, like they was silent as shit. I'm like, you guys all right? You guys all right? Just checking. You know, back then I was like 20 years old. So, yeah, that was a weird year. No, Hostetler, we think is the greatest thing ever. He sucked right after that. He sucked.
He did. Remember, he sucked after that. Sims was like forced to retire early because they were on this Hostetler thing. And Hostetler goes to the Raiders or whatever. And it's just but again, dude, I mean, that was a magical time. Parcells was with the Patriots. That was where the Cowboys, like, it was easy to root against the Cowboys. So like that whole thing. And Marino was like at the height of his like whole thing. Mm-hmm. You know, Montana was with the Chiefs. Yeah. I just, you know, the big starter jackets. Yeah. You know, Schottenheimer with the big starter Chiefs jacket. I don't know, man. I think it was
nothing but drip.
A great time. The trip, right? And then the Vikings and all that stuff, man. I mean, the Oilers, Ernest Givens.
Yep.
Just the
run and shoot offense with Ernest Givens and Hayward Jeffries. Yeah, run and shoot.
Listen, it was a magical time. That's where I really kind of fell in love with the sport. I think that's why I'm so infatuated with it. I mean, that's why the sport grew like it did. I think that's why it's, you know, even draft time. I mean, I was at a bar when the draft was happening. Cory and I were going back and forth. You and I were going back and forth. We were talking about like the draft and stuff. And it's like, even with the draft, it still has that spark, and it's just a pure sport, you know? Yeah. It's something we can all, you know, we all kind of find our alliances with, you know?
No, yeah. I like I said, a lot of years of Giant football I've watched, and obviously a lot of struggles, but you know, the few times we were able to lift the Lombardi Trophy, so worth it. Like, do you remember where you were, Rudy, during the Super Bowl 25 when Norwood missed the kick? So I remember exactly where I was.
I was out. You know what? I was home. I was still a kid, and you know, it didn't have the same amount of relevance that the Cory and I Super Bowl, the 2007 Super Bowl. It didn't have.
Oh, really?
It was different. Yeah, because, you know, with Cory, like, again, that's part of our story. But I was in a different place in life. It was a different impact, different relevance. I wasn't brought up on football. Cory was brought up on football. I mean, his onesie when he was like 8 hours old was a Giants onesie. So.
That's why no one can ever question it.
He was 8 years old. Like, it was religion by that point. So it had a different weight. So for me, when I was a kid, that Norwood thing, it was more like, it was just kind of more of a, like, I think you said something about the hockey thing when you gave that analogy of background noise. Mm-hmm. I think football at that time, because I'm first generation. My parents were brought up with soccer and baseball. Right. I had to learn football on my own. Cory was brought up in football. Like, that's what we were like heavy into. So that 2007 Super Bowl had so much relevance.
See, I learned football on my own too, though. But I was invested pretty early when we were go. That's why I remember that entire playoff run, like the Lions day. I was like 10, turning 11. And that kick, my dad, and we were at his best friend's house. Rest in peace, Mike. Obviously, watching the Super Bowl. And I remember that kick came up, and I missed the kick because I didn't want to see it. I turned away. And then you hear Al Michaels say it's no good. Like, he missed a fucking kick. Are you serious? I was so excited. Yeah. So excited. Yeah. But
that's cool, man.
But 2007 is still my favorite all time, man. Oh my God, that whole season was nuts.
Yeah, we're talking. So while we're on the topic of bringing up favorite Giants memories, boys, and I don't want to cut you off again, but My my top favorite memory, Giants memory of all time, doesn't even come from that 07 season. Because while you guys are talking about like, oh, what you remember, where you were at, and stuff like that, as magical as that 07 run was, and I remember watching every single game, including the one that we went to in Tampa. I remember all of that. I don't remember like watching like the in-game stuff. I remember winning the Super Bowl. I remember winning those games, but I don't remember like watching the in-game stuff. That 2011 run, I remember everything, almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings up my favorite Giants memory ever. January of 2012, New York Giants are in San Francisco against the league's best defense at that point.
Yeah.
Dustin Smith, Aldon Smith, Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis, Carlos Rogers, literally animals. Every single one of them, that starting 11 defense for the San Francisco 49ers. I can go down the list for them. The Giants go in there. It's hard-nosed, it's hard fought, it's a close game. Everybody expects it. The one thing I will never, ever, ever, ever forget, and it gives me goosebumps to this day. Even talking about it gives me goosebumps. The one thing I'll never, ever forget is towards like the middle, like the end of the fourth quarter. Eli's putting together one of those like amazing drives that Eli always puts together in the playoffs. I think it was an incompletion or it was a short game, like screen or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're wearing their whites and reds, and I'll never forget it. It's just one of those like those mental images you paint in your head.
Right.
He gets up, his chin strap on his helmet, it's completely sideways.
Yep.
His helmet's like hanging off the side of his head like that. His shoulder pads are literally painted green. That the white jersey's green. His shoulder pads are all twisted up like all up on his neck. He gets up and he's calling a timeout. Like this, anybody else, they're completely rattled by like this legendary defense they're playing against in the NFC Championship. This guy picks himself off the floor. He's calling timeout, like he's locked in, like literally nothing phases this guy.
Yeah.
The 49ers did whatever they possibly could to rattle him, and they just couldn't. I think it was the second to last drive or the last drive to win the game and go on to the Super Bowl and win there too. My favorite memory ever is watching Eli call that timeout when he's battered and just beaten down and torn down. The Niners did whatever they possibly could to try and tear this man down, and they didn't. And he's Iron Man, and that's why he's my quarterback for life. And that's my favorite memory I'll ever have, ever.
No, that Niners game,
Never forget it.
Going to the Super Bowl was amazing. I will say though, I took a lot of pleasure in the game the week before that one against Green Bay, the defending champions at the time.
That was amazing too.
15-1 Packers and Eli shredding that Packers defense.
45-27.
Yeah, sick. I remember that. Remember the Hail Mary pass to Hakeem Nicks to end the half?
Hakeem's dream.
Yeah, that's how I knew the game was over. It's like, oh, they're gonna win this fucking game. I was at BB King's in Clematis, OC place, watching that game. That's where I was at for that
Knicks, Team Knicks, Plaxico.
Yeah.
Manningham. 2011. It was your it was your boy Victor.
I'm thinking out loud on the point that I made before. I mean, he always had a guy he could go to.
Yes, he's right.
Always.
He did.
He always had a guy he'd go to, man.
And that line, that 2007 old line was amazing too. You know, McKenzie and
Sean O'Hara,
Chesney, Sean O'Hara. He said, yeah, all those guys were amazing.
Chesney, David Deal, off to Dallas.
Yep,
off to Dallas.
That 07 run though was fun because I remember at each of those games I knew where I was at for playoff games. I was at Gatsby's for the Tampa game. I was at home, my mom's house rather, for the Cowboys game. And I remember when they won the game, I ran around the entire like a little child, around the living room, through the kitchen to the living room like 4 times. Oh my God, we're going to Green Bay next week. Oh my God. Green Bay back to Gatsby's, crowded room. I remember being on my knees and praying that he makes a kick. He missed a kick in regulation. Then he made the kick in overtime.
LT.
And then now, Rudy, I was a manager at the Kennel at the time.
Were you?
Yeah, that was Florida. I was running tournaments at the time.
Oh wow.
Back then we used to close Sundays for Super Bowl Sundays. We closed on Super Bowl Sundays at 6. So Noah, our boss, took all the managers out to Duffy's. It was Duffy's for the Super Bowl. And he's an Eagles fan. He hates the Giants. And he was talking so much shit during the game, talking shit when Brady went down the field and scored a Moss. And then when they went back, the Giants and Eli did the whole thing and the Tyree helmet catch, all that, and we won the game. He was like completely fucking shocked. I remember saying "ha ha," then talking shit, of course, and yeah, it was great. It's awesome.
Man.
Then they got drunk somewhere else after that.
Love it.
27 years old, man.
Got
so.
to.
One last thing, one last thing. Mets talk. They're 500 right now. They've lost some last 10 games. They had a little bit of a nice little run last couple weeks, but then now they're kind of back to baseball. You guys watching the games or what? You guys watching?
I've been keeping track. I don't watch, but I keep track.
Keep track.
Yeah, I'm the same way too.
Yeah, just keeping track. Because I mean, honestly, man, I mean, when it comes to the Mets and baseball and kind of what's happening, it's like you can already see. Yeah, and that's one of my gripes with baseball is like you can already, on Cory, I'm sure you saw the alert come through. Like, it's almost imminent because of the lousy pitching and the struggles. Like Pete Alonso's probably gonna get traded, and it's like you kind of see the writing on the wall, and it's like, to me, baseball season kind of ends quickly. When you can kind of figure out, especially nowadays, like when you're going to suck or not. Like you're either like the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Astros, or whoever, and you guys can kind of, educate me on that. But it's like I follow. You see the run; they had a nice little run, but you just know in baseball, man, like you have to have certain components in place. You have to have certain things going on, or you are doomed, and there's no chance. It's so like granular. Like you have to have those components together. Just like we saw last year, the meltdown and the amount of free agent money that we just burned to trade away those players and end up paying for them. So I don't know. Cory could probably elaborate more. But
that 2022 run though was special, man. You have to.
It was cool.
Pop. You have to admit that 2022 run was special.
But the Braves are hot, man. The Braves just stay pace with us the entire year, and then one little hiccup. We had a couple hiccups in September against Chicago and Washington, and that was all it took.
Well, again, I associate my sports with memories. So that was the week we took off on our October baseball trip, where we met in Chicago and then drove across. That weekend, they were in Atlanta. All they had to do was get one game in Atlanta. They would have won the division, and they would have had a first-round bye. I remember sitting. We were at a bar after the Cubs game we went to. It was a gorgeous day. We went to a bar. I remember watching on one of the TVs, watching DeGrom get absolutely railed in Atlanta. All they needed to do was win one game. The guy got destroyed in Atlanta, which eventually cost them. Which I mean, for us selfishly, it didn't really cost us because we got to catch a playoff game at Citi Field that they lost. But the aura and like the energy of that night, like catching a wild card game in Citi Field, watching our Mets was like one of my favorite moments of all time. But I remember sitting in that Chicago bar, that Wrigleyville bar, amazing, that entire area. Watching on one of the TVs the Mets-Braves game on Fox. All they had to do was get one that series in Atlanta, and they didn't. I remember that shit vividly, and it sucked. I remember getting vehemently drunk that night too. So yeah.
I remember that.
I got destroyed that night. Yeah.
Wait, you made a good point, Rudy, and it's something I've been doing the last couple of years with the Mets. Now, I made a decision like years ago that I'm gonna treat the Mets like a TV show. If your season sucks, goodbye. By July, I'm done. I mean, if you're not. I'm sorry. Time is money. I have a wife and kids. I got things to do. I can't. If you're not playing well, I just like it's different in football and basketball because it's just different. But baseball is like okay. I love baseball, but it's one of those things where like you're not good. I'm not gonna waste my time watching your games. Sorry.
Totally.
So that's where I'm at. I mean, this team. Only five and a half back in first place still in the East, so there's still some time to make some ground. But
they're still missing their ace too, by the way.
Senga's out, yeah.
Not back yet, yeah.
They're saying this month, right?
They said, I think later this month, yeah. I mean, shout out Severino, by the way. Last night, pitched a freaking gem, and it reminded me of the old Jake DeGrom days where they would pitch gems and there was no offensive support, so they lost like 3-1. They gave our boy Edwin Diaz gives up a 3-run tater to lose the game. So
now we got it all messed up though because like normally it works out where at least the generation before us, where it's if you're a Giants fan, you're also a Yankees fan, and if you're a Met fan, you're a Jet fan, and yet we have it mixed up. What? Why did not you guys not grab to the Yankees, the more popular team in the city? I don't understand that.
So Cory,
do you want me to answer that, Pop, or do you want to answer
that? I would love
to hear your answer. There's a story in this. Okay, I got to hear this.
I would love for Cory to answer this question. Go ahead.
So please. Hold on. So you two talk. I'm gonna go grab my iPhone charger so I can charge my iPad. This is gonna be good. So you two talk for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, go ahead. I'll say this much. The Mets are the first team I fell in love with, though. I will say sports team I fell in love with.
Really?
Yeah. I got a baseball first for anything else. I was a baseball fan first for anything else. My favorite, actually some of my memories of the Mets actually are not really good ones. The '93 season, for example, when they were fucking horrible, one of the worst teams in the history of baseball.
They were
You
atrocious.
remember Anthony Young?
Yeah, no, dude. Remember, I lived in, so again, well, this will answer the question, but as a kid, I lived in Flushing, New York.
Okay.
So as a kid, my earliest memories of the Mets were like Howard John, there were Hojo and Dwight, Doc Gooden and Darryl and Lenny Dykstra. So like my earliest memories of the Mets were '86, right? So where they won the series, I was a kid and being in bed with my parents and watching the games and knowing that it was like right by, like literally like 10 minutes from where I lived in New York. So that was how the Mets happened. And remember, I'm first generation. So my parents came from a baseball and soccer background because they didn't know. So like that's the first, and I played baseball as a kid. So of course, and I want to hear Cory's version, but that's kind of how that whole thing transpired. I don't remember the bad years as much because the bad years is where I got more into football. Like '93. When you say '93, I had already moved into like the Giants zone, and I always joke because being from Queens, like normally you inherit Jets, but because I didn't know football and I had to learn it, of course you're gonna pick the team that's like red, white, and blue and has the coolest like emblem ever.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
White. So that's kind of how that happened. But I mean, I'm gonna let Cory finish that story, but I do want to give my bold take or my hot take or whatever you guys are doing. So I got a hot take for you guys.
So as a kid growing up, knowing how tight my dad and I are and have been forever, I was going to inherit all the New York teams no matter what. It was a matter of which ones. Well, it wasn't really a matter of which ones. It was just a matter of how long before I started like actually taking on being a fan of his favorite teams. So the one thing that was always different though was like growing up in baseball. I started out as a Yankees fan. I was a kid. I had my Derek Jeter T-shirt jersey. I had a hat. Like I was doing the Yankees thing for a little bit. But then as I started getting into the middle school, like early middle school, like I want to say like 5th grade, 6th grade, I started meeting some of these Yankee fans that I went to school with, and it was really weird because coincidentally they were like these kids I didn't like. So I was like, you know what? Like I think Yankees fans kind of suck. Like I'm kind of figuring it out now that I'm not really a big fan of Yankees fans. So I kind of started transitioning over to the Mets, and it also helped that in the house I grew up in and the area I grew up in, it was the Mets spring training facility was like right down the street. So that's when I started kind of taking on the Mets and kind of like despite the whole Yankee fandom thing. And now so more than ever, I really don't like the Yankees and I really don't like Yankee fans. So it's been way more fun being like on the flip side of like the not so great franchise as opposed to like the great franchise in New York. You know what I mean? Because Jets fans go through it with the Giants, and that's why I was kind of like thanking Pops for picking the blue and red over the green and white, because I don't want to deal with like being miserable as a football fan as I am a baseball fan. I don't really care about baseball as much, but being a Mets fan and that going back to that 2022 run, like it was super fun being a Mets fan. So that's kind of like I switched up. I switched up on the Mets because him and I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but I kind of remember him being a Yankees fan too. But we both hit a point where we were like, you know what, like being a Yankees fan is kind of annoying because Yankee fans are kind of annoying, and like they think like baseball's different in the regard that you can literally like if you're a big market team, you're going to be good because you can spend as much money as you want, you can sign whatever check you want to bring in the best guys, and the Yankees felt like they could just do that whenever they wanted, and it was like, you know what, like let's switch over to the Mets, and that was a valid reason to say like he was from Queens and like appreciate that fact, and that's where we kind of picked up the Mets thing. So
they always say that like the Yankees obviously is the more popular team, but when the Mets are in the playoffs and the Mets are doing well, the Mets in the World Series competing for a championship, the energy in that city changes dramatically.
Completely. Even when, and I don't want to cut you off, EJ. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Even when him and I were out there for the wild card game in 2022. Like even the subway stations, like it was all, you would see way more like blue and orange like New York hats than you would see like pinstripe hats, and even like in the subway stations themselves, you would see like the Mets hype phrase or whatever. It was all like I have pictures of it on my phone, but I mean it felt like the whole city was blue and orange for a time, and that was actually like a lot of fun.
My brother is a Yankee fan. He made me hate him. I was never a hater to my brother. Made me hate him in the late '90s because he used to talk so much shit. Oh, your Mets suck, and then like, okay, fuck you guys. I'm done.
Well, Pop, that's where you kind of like. Well, how did you feel about those late '90s Yankees teams? I never asked you that.
Well, my Yankees, like I guess my Yankees little thing that I had was based on my dad. Rest in peace. Yeah, my dad was he loved the Yankees. He came, Cuban guy. He was into the Yankees. So I did my stint. Plus, Darryl Strawberry went to the Yankees. There was some, there was like the whole Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter thing. You have to you have to respect
them. Yeah, absolutely.
Those guys. Of course, and there was other guys, like there was a Cecil Fielder thing. There was just Wade Boggs, like all these guys that like you grew up with that ended up on the Yankees during that magical '90s era. Like you couldn't hate the Yankees unless you were like a Red Sox fan. I mean, it's just it was cool. Like it was just cool to watch these Mets guys like win championship with the Yankees. So like it was a thing. But I do want to throw my hot take out there. And
go ahead.
It literally encompasses what we're talking about when it comes to baseball and it comes to what we just agreed on.
Yeah.
And I want to say my hot take, my bold prediction is that spring football is going to overtake baseball in the next 5 years. I'm going to throw it out there.
That's a bold one. I like that.
Are you watching it stuff right now?
I'm not, but I'm going to say something. And I think that the punter, that like the YouTube punter, the storylines, the AJ McCarron thing in spring football. I think that in the next 5 years, the lack of a salary cap in baseball, the dominant big market teams where small market teams know they're out by the time like week whatever comes around, that there is going to be a lift in spring football, and we have a desire for it, and I think that. Because NFL is embracing it, and I think that they're going to do a great job marketing it and having more of like a farm system mentality.
Right, correct.
It's gonna in the next 5 years. My bold take is that spring football is going to put a lot of pressure on baseball to get better. That's my bold.
The problem with that, though, and I'm not saying it's a bad take because I do think there's an opportunity here for spring football to be a thing. Is just that you got to get people to get used to the idea that football is still around. We're so used to like, okay, February's over. See you in August for preseason football. And now you have to kind of create the habit. Is there enough thirst? Because people love the NFL. People love the NFL, but they love the NFL.
I'm going to answer your question.
Do they love the NFL or do they love football? That's the question.
No. Here's your answer, and it's neither one of those.
Okay, what is it?
I have a friend that was gambling on table tennis a few nights ago. It's called the Hard Rock app. It's called legal.
That's a great point.
Gambling, and that is going to be the catalyst for what you just asked me. Forget the interest in the actual thing, and include the interest in gambling on something that we're familiar with, something that you, Cory, and I can sit here and say, hey, well, the Rattlers, like, what are their and then I'm telling you right now, the catalyst to everything you just asked me is legalized gambling. And I don't know about you guys, would much rather bet on an Alabama professional football team than some guy playing table tennis against another guy, and that's going to be the game changer. And that's where your baseball will never be able to keep up with that. I don't care how many pitch clocks they come up with. Once this thing starts getting some wheels behind it, and the money and the marketing and the celebrity status continues to evolve with this, it's going to become a year-long thing because people, we are all hungry for football. Obviously, way more hungry for college and NFL, but this is going to be a nice complement to it. And it's going to bridge that gap of empty time.
I love that take because gambling changing everything. You're right.
Hats off to you, sir. I like that take a lot. I like it a lot.
I love that.
Not as much as my Josh Allen of the Giants take, but I like that take a lot.
No, well, I pray for Josh Allen take to be come to fruition because I'm already out on the Dalen Jones thing, but we'll see what happens there. But fellas, this was an awesome 2-hour podcast. Over 2 hours,
Dude,
actually.
Yes.
I had a feel go long. I was like, you know what? We might go an hour. Let's see what happens.
2 hours.
Like,
We
what?
really crushed 2 hours, EJ?
Look to your left.
Yeah, 204.
Shit, yeah.
Look to your left on top right left-hand corner. 204.38. Ain't counting. And I'm
Awesome.
watching the Mavericks.
This is fun. We got to
spank
do it
the
again.
shit out of the
I feel like we didn't even get into like we didn't even get into all our shit. So this is great.
Yeah.
You guys are
No,
phenomenal.
that was
No,
awesome.
EJ, it's on you this time. Don't make me wait for 2 years again to do something like this. It's 2
3
years, bro.
But we didn't even get it. We didn't even get
3
into
years.
politics or anything. We didn't even get into politics or religion. This is
Well, I don't know if
Like,
Corey's
this
into
is
that shit, though, to be
unbelievable.
honest with you. I know you and I are really into politics.
I have some thoughts and ideas. I'm not super into that because I think it's just not a winnable argument for any side. But I mean, I have a few ideas and takes on that too that we could get into at another time. So
Because Rudy and I are definitely heavy into politics. I have no fucking problem talking about politics, and and everybody and people both sides hate me because I'm very much all over the place when it comes to like policies, like different things, you know.
sure.
So people hate it's like, oh, what you left? No, like, right? No, I'm common
Right.
sense guy.
That just means EJ. That just means we have to do this again, bro. Same crew and everything.
Oh yeah, and it would definitely not be 3 years. That's for damn sure.
It
This
better
is
not
fun.
be.
This is a lot of fun, and the fact I'm really tired and I'm still able to engage in 2 hours like this into this shit, even though my kids are really held out today, says something. So,
For sure,
fellas,
bro.
yes, sir.
Corey,
I agree.
Rudy, great job. We'll do this again soon. Definitely before football season starts. Definitely, great job
Absolutely,
as always.
man.
Absolutely.
Love you guys. Thank you, man. It was a
Yes,
fucking
sir.
blast as
Yes,
always.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well,
Thank you.